I always forget to do those.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Anyway, I'm here with Zach Denny.
We forgot to do intro. We're sorry. We were talking about Battlefront,
Dude,
and then we can.
Sometimes the
Yeah.
Battlefront just takes over.
Oh yeah.
The Star Wars inspiration in the back already.
Yeah.
The meme man himself, Zach Denny. He's in every single film I've ever seen.
At SCC.
Dude, how many films have you done?
I've checked I have a Google Doc of like every film credit I ever do to just keep track.
Oh, that's sick. I should definitely do that.
I have done, I would say definitely over 40. And that's a combination of student films, short films, web series, and feature film.
Okay.
So definitely somewhere around the mid 40s.
All right, I'm going to say something crass here. How many of those have the filmmakers actually finished and uploaded?
I would have to go through my list.
Is it you can just say, is it high or low?
I think it's
I'm genuinely curious about that.
I'm curious too. I actually had to like look over and like find the because there's so many films I've done.
Yeah.
That but it's like if you name a film, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I did do that one. I forgot about that project. It's like I don't mean to forget. It's just I've done so many, you know. But I think it's
like actors. It's not like you directed it, so like you were working on it for like 2 months. You're there for like a couple days.
It's like,
and then it's over.
Yeah, it's funny because like even though like you are part of the project, but it's like once it wraps, it's like okay, on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Because like the only thing we do post production is ADR.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I think
because it's not like you have to do a press tour for a short film.
Yeah, we should have done a press tour for Credit Man. I mean,
get Wyatt Hershey to do a press tour thing.
A press tour, yeah.
With all his fake press tours. I love those.
And then, but to go back to your question, I think I would say maybe like in the middle, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm always proud of every project I do. Definitely like, yeah. I would say in the middle, I think. Yeah, there's definitely some projects where like, I know there's this one project that unfortunately the sound wasn't really good, but it was still a great experience because it was with a great crew, you know. So like, the experience was still worth it, but because the sound was terrible, it wouldn't it wasn't like.
You can't like show it off necessarily.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, so like that. There's definitely a couple of projects where like it just wasn't. It was scratched post production, you know. And I think there's still some that are like still post production, but they're still focusing on other stuff. It's like, yeah, I'll get back to it like if I have time, you know.
That's so interesting. Like scratching a film like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, it's like at the end of the day, it's like if you were to scratch something, and it's funny. I was talking to a good friend of mine about it. Like he was working on a project, and he was in post production. He wrapped it right, and then he wanted to work on another short film that he really wanted to work on. Like he had more care and passion about this script. So like what he did is he still sent footage to the actors for their demo reels. So he still promised them footage, but he just completely canceled the whole project.
That's really respectable. I understand that.
Yeah, because I remember he was saying like, you know, like if I lost interest and I'm not excited about this project and I'm excited about another project, then why bother finishing it?
Yeah.
And it's respectable because like it's like, you know, like it's my right. Like it's his right, you know.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he still sent the actors their footage, which is good, you know, if they want to use it for their reels. So as long as he promised like something like to the actors and like the crew, like here, check it out. But since he was like in charge of it, he's like, I'm just gonna scratch it. I'm not gonna finish it. You know?
As long as like, give the actors the opportunity to find an editor, be like, hey, could you edit this for me for my reel?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think like one thing cool about, I mean, I know like with the demo reels, it's like an actor's demo reel is very specific, you know.
Okay.
Like it's rare to have a student film like you use footage for the student film unless it's like really good quality, you know, and like if it's a lot like a close up on your face and like the scene's a high stake scene, you know, then obviously use it. You know, if it looks like something like, oh wow, like it looks like on television, you know.
Yeah.
But if it's like me, like I'm in the student film and I'm like walking, you know, or like doing so, like I'm like making like I'm pouring a glass of water, you know, and I add that to an actor reel. Like anyone can walk in a scene and pour a glass, you know. So like a demo reel has to be like an Oscar winning, you know, scene, you know, versus like I'm in a scene and I'm like casually talking to a friend, you know.
Okay.
Like yeah, like it may look aesthetically pleasing and like my acting's good, but it's just me talking to a friend, not like nothing like high stakes, you know. And that's one thing I had to learn about, like making a demo reel, like a good demo reel, you know. But one thing awesome about student films is the confidence you get from the experience. Like you do so many like student films and short films, like it's the repetition, you know, where it's like, wow, like the fact that I've done so many of these, like the more student films and the more projects I do, the lower my imposter syndrome goes down, you know, where it's like now when I get like a huge opportunity to like star with, you know, Matthew McConaughey or like I get to act with Denzel Washington. I'm not going to be like, obviously like it's like, oh, let's, you know, there's still, I feel like everyone gets nervous about huge opportunities, but it'll be lowered because I know that I have the confidence. I've done the experience, you know, I did the work, you know, it's like I trust myself in the craft to be able to get to that level, you know, versus like not working for a while and then like having this opportunity and then you're like, oh man, what do I do? You know?
Yeah,
it's a big difference.
Like the mentality of about time or like finally, as
Yes.
opposed to, oh, I don't like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's definitely how I feel right now because now I'm starring in my first feature film, you know? So this is like my big like,
dog.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
sir.
my first starring moment, you know? It's like, wow, like this is like, let's go, you know?
Mhm.
Like it's like, it's a 130 page script. So it's definitely the biggest project I've done. But I'm not nervous, you know? Because I have to remind myself, like I've worked hard for this moment. And it's, even though like, I mean, it's a non-union feature, like I don't care, you know. I'm still I treat it as like this is gonna go worldwide in theaters. And I think it's great to have that mentality, you know. I remember Arnold was talking about like one of his quotes was like,
You talking about Schwarzenegger?
yeah, like one of his biggest quotes was like, you know, you have a vision, you dream about it, you write it down, like you know your goal, and then now you live like you already own the goal, like you already accomplished it. So it's like, yeah, it's like you have the goal but live it. That's a big difference, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting like way that you're talking about it, like sort of like, you know, like you should just always do it. You
Yeah.
know, always be that way. I'm like my kind of mentality, especially on film, where it's like, okay, if this is a medium where the whole point is that we're controlling what people see and what people don't see. Really, that's what film is, right? When
Yeah.
you really boil it down, even
Yeah.
more than like story and whatever, it's just like controlling what people know and don't know.
Yeah.
You know, why would if that's the whole point of the medium, why would you not want to control what people see and only show them the best, right?
Explain that.
It's like you're not going to post a picture of you that looks bad on Instagram,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why would you make a bad movie?
Yeah.
That's how, I don't know, that's how I feel about it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, without like being arrogant, it's like, oh, you should just make good films, but like, you know, relative to like what you know you can make. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's just like setting a standard for yourself. You know, it's like if you have the option to put good stuff out there, you know, because it is a choice, you know, like you can tell like it's like take Honora, for example. Like Honora won all like swept the Oscars, and it was only like a $6 million budget for an indie film versus like, so
We don't need to talk about the Oscars campaign budget, but
like,
anyway.
But Honora, $6 million budget, won Oscars more than any of like the big studio movies, you know? So it's like, I think it goes to show like, it doesn't matter like how much, like what your circumstances are, like how, like, or like how much money you have. Like what really matters and what will always win is like the people behind it and their like dedication and their like how much they're willing to make a good product out of it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that like set a good example. It's like it doesn't matter like how much money you have. Like if you don't have the right people to make it happen, and it's like, you know, it's like handing $200 million to kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it comes down to like, you know, yeah, like we got to set a standard. Like if we have the option to be great, then let's be great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, versus like, you know, it's like, yeah, like I can be an actor and be like a working actor, you know, that's still great. Like, you know, make a salary, you know, do commercials, co-star, guest star roles, you know, but it's like, if I have the option to pursue the journey of being a movie star, then why not go 100%? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cause like, yeah, you only get like one life.
I'm glad that that's what you got out of a Nora sweeping.
Yeah.
Because I definitely did not get that out of a Nora sweeping.
Well, because I mean, if we go to like awards, obviously there's like political, like politics stuff behind.
Well, I wasn't meaning like, you know, red or blue. It's more like they spent like over $10 million on the campaign.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Wow.
Burst your bubble there.
I didn't know
They spent the
that.
most out of any movie on the Oscars campaign, and then they won more than any movie. It just kind of sets a bad precedent.
Gotcha. Interesting.
You know.
Yeah.
Although, you know, obviously, I'm not saying it didn't deserve those.
No,
but
yeah.
like it's weird.
Yeah.
You know, and like I know you said that, like we talked before, you're not like you're not like a Doom 2 fanatic. So it's like I would have brought up like, what about Doom 2? You know, there's a
That's true.
movie that like, you know,
Yeah.
probably should have run cinematography. just at least, just saying.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, you're right. Definitely.
Love my boy Greg Fraser. Not to say that The Brutalist wasn't like really
I still need to
good-looking.
watch The Brutalist.
I feel
haven't
like you
seen
would
it.
really dig The Brutalist.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, yeah, I gotta watch it.
I don't know. It's interesting. Like, you low key, like, kind of remind me of Adrian Brody.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool.
Kind of get that vibe.
I remember I've only seen one movie, and it was Splice.
I haven't seen like any of his movies besides The Brutalist.
Yeah, it's weird. I've only seen like he was in Splice. It was like 2013. It was like a thriller. That's the only movie I've seen Adrian Brody in.
Mm.
But it's funny, like when The Brutalist came out, I was like, oh, Adrian Brody. It's like now I just discovered like him, you know?
That guy who played the piano that one time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I know I definitely got to start watching his movies. That's for sure. Yeah. It's funny, Adrian Brody. Yeah.
Adrian Brody.
I get, back then I get, Shia LaBeouf.
I kind of, in terms of like your vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
I
see
get
that.
Shia LaBeouf.
Especially like later Shia LaBeouf, not early Shia LaBeouf.
Interesting.
Like post Honey Boy Shia LaBeouf. Like
Really?
Theory.
Interesting.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I love Shia LaBeouf.
Oh yeah, dude. He's great.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of those people where it's like his acting is so good, I really don't care what he does in his personal life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or it's like, if he's in something, I probably want to see it.
Yeah.
You know?
I love his acting. His acting's just so like he has so much freedom. You know, it's like he's really like he's really living, like it's hard to explain, you know? Like if he's like panicking about something in a scene, he'll really panic. You know, versus like, you know, trying to like hone down like the technique. It's like he has technique.
So I'm gonna breathe this fast. Right.
Yeah. It's hard to explain, but yeah, just something about like he definitely brings a unique perspective to his performances.
Mm.
You know, which what makes him, you know, stand out a lot. I feel like, you know.
Who's your favorite actor?
First, me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Matthew. All right, Matthew McConaughey.
I got
My
that.
hero is me in 10 years.
I got that from my mentor.
Mm.
My mentor said, it's a trick question. Like if someone asks you who's your favorite actor, you always say me. My second favorite actor is then, you know, your favorite actor. It's because like you always have to have you as your favorite, you know? That's the it's the whole confidence thing, But yeah, yeah. So of course, like now I'm like hardwired to like say me when I ask that question because it's a great advice from my mentor. But
it's also like an unexpected answer. It's not like I like insert famous actor.
Yeah.
What is up? Yo.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. What's up?
What's up?
You trying to grab a Red Bull at
No, I'm not. Are you guys live?
almost
right now?
8? We are live.
Oh my god.
No,
No
dude,
worries, man.
we're not like live. I can edit.
No,
It's
I
all
just
good.
need a quick little. This is like.
Oh my gosh.
I want to see what's happening.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Just do you there.
Okay.
My boss.
Oh, okay, cool. That's sick.
Gosh. It's so stupid.
Yeah. But so my second favorite actor would be Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford. Okay.
Yeah, I think honestly Harrison Ford, I think just mainly the Indiana Jones movies is what really got me into acting.
I remember talking about Raiders with you, yeah.
Yeah. It's just something about those movies. It's the music, like the adventure aspect, the thrill of it, it's definitely my favorite movies. Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade.
Yep. There are no other movies.
Yeah.
I don't. It's a trilogy. I don't know what you're talking about.
It is a trilogy. Yeah, you know what? I do agree. It is a trilogy, but I do find the fourth one somewhat watchable. I think it is watchable. If you like exclude the aliens.
Well, especially now with like what we come to expect from remakes or reboots.
That's true.
Where it's like in hindsight, like was it really that bad? I think the Crystal Skull was a warning sign.
Yeah. Because when did that came out? Like what, 2000?
Was it 12 or 8?
I think it's either one of those years, but it came out in 2000s versus the trilogy.
Okay, it was either 06 or 08.
Yeah.
It was an even number.
So it was like years because like the trilogies, it was like back to back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why like
81, 83, 85.
Yeah. So I think that's what happens because like it was such a big gap. It's like I feel like there was no need to make the fourth and the fifth one.
Yeah, and it wasn't like J.J. Abrams in Star Trek where it was like, hey, we're just gonna like kind of bring this back with a different lens. It was like, no, this is the same people that you saw before.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's what throw like everyone off because of the age gap and like how like technology grew. So like obviously it was like better quality, but just it's like the fourth and the fifth Indiana Jones was like a different vibe from like obviously the first three because they were made in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I think that's what
like that's what people forget. Like when they like the reason they like it is because it's a product of its time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They think like, oh, I like it because of the hat and the whip and the action. Like, no, you like it because of how that type of movie was made.
Yeah.
That in that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like one of my favorite moments in Jaws. I may have told you about this when Sheriff Brody gets home after putting out signs about there being a shark attack. Right.
Mm-hmm.
His wife is helping out his kid. His kid is like, he screwed up his knee. He's like bleeding. And he's like, what happened? It's like, oh, whatever the kid's name. He fell off the swing. And Brody goes, well, what'd you do that for? And then he leaves. It's like, this is the greatest 1975 movie ever. Like, this is exactly what I would want from a 70s movie.
Yeah. And I loved like the and like, because like it was made back in the 80s, Indiana Jones is like the style of it, like just like all the 80s movies had a vibe to it.
Yeah. There's also like there was a little bit comedic, like how a lot of things were pulled off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know in Raiders, there's a lot of comedic action.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That if you did it today, people would be like super pretentious about like, I can't believe they thought they could do this. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Marion runs into like a building and with a frying pan thing, and then the guy runs in after her. You hear the sound effect and he falls out.
And then the sword scene.
Yeah.
And he just shoots
him. Yeah. It's great.
But like that's one like with today's movies, especially like how like the trailer would like it's like there's always a sound. They use the same sound for every trailer.
Talking about the bwomp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, can we like see something different, I don't know if it's like because we grew up and we're just sick and tired of like the style, and because I like the '80s movies so much, or it's just that vibe because we haven't experienced it. I don't know, but
I feel like the thing that I really like about those older movies is how streamlined they feel. I feel like movies today, like let's take like Oppenheimer for example, like
Yeah.
one of the most well executed movies in
Yeah.
a long time.
yeah,
Like say what you want about it, like they made a really well made movie technically, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with like all the Star Wars movies, all the sequels, like like you say what you want about the story and what they did to the franchise, like on a technical level, like the cinematography
Oh,
is
yeah.
beautiful, the sound is
Oh yeah, absolutely.
perfection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the sound effects are really cool.
Yeah.
Like how they're utilized is a different thing, right? But that story. And so like you get movies like that and like they're just so polished and so well made that it feels like the thing's been buffed out. Like all like I don't want to say like the spirit, the original lightning in a bottle has been buffed out just by how good it is. But I mean, that's why I have episode 4 back there, not episode 5, because there's something about episode 4 that has like this homemade feel to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's like
yeah.
the imperfections were left in, so it feels more real. Like this was actually
Yeah.
filmed on a camera.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like you watch some movies now and it feels a little unreal though. Like Top Gun Maverick, one of the best looking movies in the last 10 years. It almost doesn't feel real to watch. Like it's too good. I was like, how do they, like you can't even imagine how they filmed that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's funny how you say that. Like it looks unreal, but like that's the whole point of like why we go to the movies is to bring that like realness to it. And of course, like, with like Star Wars, like with episode 4, bring like, lets our imagination free by seeing like, these X-Wings and these TIE fighters, something amazing on the screen. But at the same time, it's like what you said, bringing the imperfections. Like it's still filmed on the camera.
Yeah.
So like having that balance, like it was great, but it's really good how you mentioned that. It's like they're trying to be perfect, like making perfect polished movies. But it's like there's no such thing as perfection.
Yeah.
That's one thing about it.
Except Raiders of the Lost Ark. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, Raiders out there. Yeah. Raiders is perfect. It's the only perfect movie.
In terms of like relative perfection, like, understanding things happen, Raiders is like one of the few perfect movies that I've seen.
Interesting.
Like Raiders, Ocean's 11, I think is a perfect movie. I think Terminator 2, for what it is intended to be, is a perfect movie. And I can't think of like any dramas off the top of my head. Like Interstellar is my favorite movie, but I know in my, I just know it's not a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And that almost makes me like it more. But like there are like perfect movies.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily have to be like my favorite movie. Like T2 is not in my top 20, but I think it's a perfect movie.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Cause like, do you watch movies? Like, cause like
No.
you're well, oh, you don't watch movies, but it's like, how like you work behind the camera and like behind like artistically behind the camera, most of the time. Like when you watch, like, is that like, cause you try to avoid that when you're watching a movie, right? Or like, do you like?
I don't know. I don't know if I think about avoiding it. It kind of just happens.
Yeah.
Like there's some movies where it's like, I don't know, like the F1 movie that's going to come out with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I hope I can turn it off and just enjoy that for what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I did that with Oppenheimer as well. Like I tried to really turn it off.
Yeah.
But generally, if I throw on a movie, I'm probably like, I might as well make this time productive, as terrible as that sounds.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. Like I asked that because I know like, because acting in front of the camera, it's like when I will watch a movie, it's like, I don't try to turn it off, but like sometimes like I'll like watch it like a close up and I see how the actor's like reacting in that scene. And I'm like, interesting. So he does this choice instead of this choice, so it's like, I don't mean to turn like that the acting brain on, but it just happens, It's like, I gotta like stop doing that and like watch the movie. But at the same time, it's like watching a great performance. It's also good. It's like going back to like group acting classes, it's like I want to watch some, like, it's like I want to watch Leonardo DiCaprio, like his movie and see like what he does, you know. So like obviously still like perform as me, but if there's like a trick that he does, you know, because I guarantee Leonardo DiCaprio probably was inspired by someone else and he took their tricks, you know. It's like a domino effect. But yeah, it's like I gotta shut that off and just watch the movie, you know.
Do you look at the real world or acting, or movies more for acting in terms of where you get your tricks, inspiration, all that good stuff?
Think a bit of both. It's like I don't observe the real world because it's like I work eternally, you know. But I don't know.
Because you brought up DiCaprio
Yeah.
and like watching him for what does he do for this emotion, right?
Yeah.
And you reminded me of a story that he told about the Quaalude scene in Wolf of Wall Street and his inspiration for that. And he said he watched this YouTube video called "The World's Drunkest Man" as the inspiration for that. It was like a security cam footage in a gas station.
Wow.
And that's like, everybody talks about the Quaalude scene from that movie. And he got that from YouTube, some guy in a gas station flipping out.
Yeah. I mean, in my training, I haven't really done that. Cause like, I don't know. It's hard to talk like about like what cause I'm more of like, my favorite acting technique is Ivana Chubbuck. And what she talks about is, you know, just focusing on like every human being has something they want to desire. You know, so like they're gonna do like whatever it takes to get that goal. Like if you look at like the famous persons, you know, like the reason that we adore like the famous people is because they're goal oriented. You know, it's like no matter how difficult their struggle was, it's like nothing will stop them from achieving that goal. That's basically her technique. Is that like even like with any story, every character should have a desire, a fight to win. And that's what makes you like people like you on the screen, you know, versus like a trap to avoid. Like in her book, like the biggest trap to avoid as an actor is playing a victim, you know, because nobody likes that. Even real life, like victim, like, you know, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm this, I'm that, you know, the world hates me. No one likes that person. It's the same thing on the screen, you know? So if you take that and you make choices to like fight for your goal, you know, through beats and actions, then the audience, and like you bring that energy to the screen, that's what makes the audience fall in love with you, you know? So it's funny how you mentioned observing the world. Like, I guess when you mean observe the world, I like to observe, yeah, like people, and like there's like successful people, like how I like researching like how, like what their obstacles were and like what they did to overcome to get their dreams and goals, you know, because then like that makes you inspired, you know what I'm saying? So because of that, like because I got inspired, that's how I want to preserve like my acting, just so like then I can get the audience to have that same feeling, to be inspired, you know. It's like if someone comes up to me and like they say like, I loved you in that movie, you know, you really like you inspired me, like that's a great feeling, that's a great compliment. It's like, wow, like I inspired someone to like, you know, or move them, whatever they felt in the movie, you know, that made their life a better in that moment, you know, that escape. That's an awesome gift, to be able to like just change the way they feel, you know, through that moment and make their life better. That's definitely like, it's very influential in that way. And I feel like that's great to like, it would be awesome to do that in front of like the whole world by like, you know, being in movies that are released around the world, you know, to be able to tell a story, no matter what character I play, I have to find a way to bring myself into it, whether that's substitution, you know, like I got to make this character like I am the character, but I also have to bring a dynamic part of myself, you know, just to find a way so that the audience can relate, you know. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Like, what? Because to me, this sounds like this. Like, this is one of the major inspirations for why you do what you do, right? I feel like that's pretty obvious the way you talked about that. But then you bring up a movie like Raiders of the Lost Ark, where it's like, I don't know, like that may have inspired you to act, but like in terms of like being moved emotionally, do you know what I mean? I don't know if like that movie would have moved me. I mean, like second favorite movie of all time, but I don't know if that movie would have moved me if I wasn't like interested in filmmaking. Do you know what I mean? So that's really interesting that
Yeah.
like that's your favorite type of movie, but like, is that the type of movie you'd want to make? You know what I mean? Like I know we talked about a little bit before this, like
Yeah, I think
the
'cause,
script
like,
that you're working on and whatnot, but
because I think that's why like I love action adventure. Like that's my dream genre is action adventure because, like, how I see action adventure is like it's the thrill you get, like you get goosebumps. It's like oh my
Okay.
god, like it's like you live in your hometown for a long time and
Okay.
like you have that desire to like explore the world and just that adventure feel. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
It's like that's what a movie can do to like inspire you to get that feeling. It's like with Indiana Jones going through all these journeys and like finding the ark,
Yeah.
that can relate to like someone that wants to accomplish something they want to do. It's like that metaphoric relatability, And I just like action adventure because it's the thrill of it,
Mm-hmm.
It's the thrill of life. It's like you don't want to be cooped up in a box or like your house forever. It's like you want to go out there and go after like your dreams, your goals, and like just enjoy the journey, whether it's good moments and bad moments, because that's the thrill of it. That's living. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
that's why like out of no offense to like everyone else in film, but like actors are definitely my favorite people to talk to within this medium. It's not even close. Like I could talk to DPs about, hey, what was the ISO you shot that at? Oh, that was 12,800 for this a complete unknown scene. And it's like
We need to white balance that.
right? It's like that's cool and all, but like I don't know, like I get this type of dialogue out of actors basically 100% of the time, and I almost never get that from like the more technical side. Like directors I'll get that from, but directors, like their whole job is like understanding acting, in a sense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that because the type of movies that inspire me are nothing like the movies that I want to make.
Really?
Yeah. So like Interstellar, Raiders are like my favorite movies, right?
Yeah.
But the type of movies that I really love are movies like a movie like Coda, Good Will Hunting, like these really like performance intensive movies. I'd say like Moneyball's in the top 5. I'd love to make a movie like Moneyball.
Oh yeah.
But that's like the only one that's up there
Yeah.
where it's like I would love to make a movie like that. Like those aren't the movies that inspire me, are the ones that I want to make. If that makes sense.
Interesting. It's interesting you say that.
Like obviously I still like the movies
No,
like
yeah.
like that, but they're not like the ones that I hold in like these insanely high regard.
That's interesting. Like, do you know why you thought like do you think like you don't want to make those movies, but like they're still your favorite movies?
I could do the cop out answer and be like John Williams and Hans Zimmer. That's why. But I mean, I don't know. I like for action movies feel very technical to me. Like if I were to like make a movie like Transformers, for example, that feels very technical. It doesn't feel super emotional. Same thing like with Maverick, right?
Yeah.
The approach as a director feels very technical. I don't think I'm telling
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, you need to feel this in this moment, right? You know what I mean?
God, oh, I see where you're coming from, and I think that makes sense, cause I feel like that answer makes sense because of like the field you're going for, like you want to, cause you are behind the camera, it's like
Yeah.
you still want to focus on the emotion and the story, and not about like technicality,
I guess like
Yeah.
it's just not what if I'm gonna work on a movie for years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there are people obviously that look at a movie like you know, Maverick, and they see the third act of that movie, and that like, you know, that can inspire them for months and months and months and months and months, right?
Yeah.
For me, like I see a scene like Matt Damon and Minnie Driver breaking up in Good Will Hunting,
Yeah.
and I think about that all the time. you know?
Interesting.
Like that type of
Yeah.
thing. But it's like also like Blade Runner #3.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'd be really cool to make a movie like that, but I'm never like I gotta make a movie like Blade Runner where I create this whole world. Like I'm not super into world building personally in terms of like creating a different reality, but I think about Blade Runner every single day.
And yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but it's not like I don't know. Like the part that I love about Blade Runner the most is some of like the dialogue scenes.
Yeah.
Not like the big overhead shots of the Coca-Cola
Yeah.
sign and the spinners flying around. You got, you know, Vangelis' score, synth waving all over the place. It's like those scenes are great, but I'm thinking about like, you know, Rutger Hauer and his monologue at the end of the movie, or you know, Sean Young talking about the artificial owl in Tyrell's, you know, super pyramid. She's like, "Do you like our owl?" And then like Harrison Ford is like, must be expensive. You know, is it artificial? Very. Must be expensive. You know, like just like
Yeah.
little stuff like that. Like I
Interesting.
love that stuff. But like that's the stuff I think about. I'm not thinking about like, you know, like that. I think that's the reason why 2049 didn't do it for me a ton, because that's very much like obviously Denis Villeneuve took it in a completely different direction, which is really cool. But I feel like that movie is very technical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like super emotion based. I know like the whole like he's literally me thing came from that, but
Yeah.
you know,
That's how the Ryan Gosling
I
stuff
digress.
started. Because it went from that to the memes from Drive, you know, and then just any movie is gonna come out now. Like it's not, we're never gonna go
Dude, and then they
away.
made a
Yeah.
whole movie about it called Barbie.
Oh yeah, and that went off.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who was like, we need to do this and we need to cast Ryan Gosling in this role, but
Yeah.
absolute genius casting.
Have you
director.
seen Drive?
I have not seen Drive.
Really?
Really. I was gonna watch it one night and I just never
I
did.
think-
I decided to go be Ryan Gosling myself and drive around at night. But
That's how I felt. It's really. I mean it wasn't a movie I expect like plot wise or
Okay.
storytelling wise, but like it was. Yeah, I think you'll like it.
okay.
Yeah, in terms of like the acting, you know.
I mean, I already had one of those like cool Japanese jackets way before that movie came out.
Oh, wait, so you're like
before
OG.
before that movie came
so
into like
you're OG now.
yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, did you get that jacket because of Drive?" I was like, "Bro, I haven't even
Bro,
seen it."
yeah.
You know, it's like I almost don't want to watch it for that reason.
Oh,
Kinda-
I'm so the same
Kind of
way.
like Pulp Fiction, where it's like, "Oh, like this is like Pulp Fiction." I was like, I haven't seen it. I don't even know what happens.
You haven't seen Pulp Fiction?
No, I haven't seen it.
Interesting. I think Nah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my favorite Tarantino movie.
It's my favorite one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just that aesthetic Hollywood vibe.
Oh, dude.
You know,
Dude,
like
I drive a coupe and it's like windows down in the desert when it's like 88 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Blasting, you know, Deep Purple. You
Mhm.
kidding me? Vanilla Fudge. Let's
yeah,
go.
dude. Like, yeah. I love that movie so much. Yeah.
Well, the whole movie is about acting.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at least for the beginning, you know,
Yeah.
the first 2 acts.
And it's funny because like that's like the first movie I like actually like. That's when then I got introduced to Austin Butler. That's what made me an Austin Butler fan as well.
Really?
Yeah.
You saw him as Tex and you're like, I like that guy.
Oh yeah, because the fact that he went from Tex to Elvis
Mm-hmm.
to bike riders.
Bike Riders.
Yeah, great movie. Like I would definitely up there for like I really want to work with Austin Butler because he definitely seems like really artistic into his craft.
Mm.
So like Austin Butler is someone I would really want to work with, you know, especially him as Patrick Bateman now in the new American Psycho.
Is that actually coming out? I thought
Yeah.
that was a rumor.
Now it's confirmed.
Okay.
So even though like obviously Christian Bale is like it's Christian Bale, so like even if like this new movie is like not because of the remake of it, if it happens to not be good, I'm still really excited to see what Austin Butler does of his interpretation of Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
You know, obviously like like it's hard to compare to like Christian Bale of his amazing performance, but it's still really interesting to see, you know, a really great actor like Austin Butler put on this character, You know, just to see the differences, and like how each different actor can portray the character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you get two completely different performances, but they're playing the same character, and that's what's really interesting. You know,
That's interesting. I was gonna say that's interesting. After you said that's what's really interesting.
yeah.
The part that I find, I don't want to say interesting now, engaging about the idea of a new American Psycho is the fact that it is now part of the zeitgeist and they're still making it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker.
Yeah.
Where it was already in the zeitgeist immediately after 2008, where it's like, hey, this is a character that like people are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you had Jared Leto's, you know, very unpopular Joker before that, so everyone was like, okay, this has to, you know what I mean? There was a certain expectation around that.
Yeah.
And now with all of like the, let's see Paul Allen's card, like all that that surrounds American Psycho, it's like, okay, what are they gonna make out of that popular zeitgeist expectation?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I find like the whole why would you even make this movie super interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's like, obviously, like you can't like remake every single detail. Like if there's a new Paul Allen card scene, it's like, let's see how they do it, you know? Because that's another question: like, who's gonna play Paul Allen, or is there even a Paul Allen in this movie?
Right.
You know? I would love to play Paul Allen. That'd be dope.
Here I am sitting here like I've seen the movie. I also haven't seen it.
You haven't seen American Psycho?
No.
Well, damn. Okay.
Dude, there's so many there's so many I haven't seen.
No, I feel that. Like, there's so many movies where it's like I haven't seen it and people are like shocked. It's like I just haven't gone around to it. You know, like I haven't seen The Godfather.
I haven't seen The Godfather. Haven't seen Matrix. Haven't seen Pulp Fiction. Haven't seen Drive. Haven't seen American Psycho. Haven't seen I don't know, Manchester by the Sea. Any of that stuff.
I haven't seen.
I really gotta see Manchester by the Sea. But
I know I definitely gotta watch more movies for sure. I'm just like so focused on like, you know, trying to do as many projects as I can, or like watching movies is something I just don't even think about. You know,
I okay. Obviously, my opinion is biased because I don't watch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not intentional. I just don't feel like it most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, like our direct friend Mac, like the dude watches like a movie a week basically. He just.
I remember Tom Cruise says something like he
just
tries
loves
to
it.
watch a movie per day.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But like I you know, as much as I love movies, after like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I gotta go watch a movie like when I go home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't feel that. I might get, ooh, I gotta like edit this video when I get home. Do you know what I mean? I might feel that if we're talking filmmaking stuff, but I'm not gonna feel, or I might want to like, I want to go write a scene or something. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not something that I feel the pull to do, but very rarely I do. And then like, I am like totally locked in the whole 2.5 hour runtime, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you're this way, but I watch a movie and I could basically recount the entire thing. Like after one watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like that. It's funny because I watched Murphy's Law a second time.
A second time?
Yeah.
Dude.
And I've noticed like in terms of like the lighting you did. And I'm like, huh, you know, and like the lines like that Caleb, our friend Caleb would say. So like it would definitely have to take me a couple watches to find the little details, you know? Yeah.
What did you think of Murphy's Law? Well, you watched it twice, so it must have been good.
It was very close to home.
Isn't it? It's like
very close to home.
It's
man.
so hard to like. I can never like. I only recommend that movie to like film people for like technical reasons. Like I was like, because we were talking about you're acting like I've seen stuff you're in. I filmed you, so I obviously know your craft. And I was like, oh, like this is what I do. So like here's Murphy's Law. Yeah. Right. But it's not. I'm not gonna like. You know, my friend's like, hey, you want to watch this movie that low key might make you depressed? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, unfortunately, like the performances are strong enough to where it really does that to you. Yeah. Like I say, unfortunately, just because like, I don't know, like that's why the next like sort of project I'm working on, I told you, I was like, I want to make something that people can just watch.
Yeah.
They enjoy it. Oh, that was great. And I'm going to move on with my day. I'm not going to like be thinking
Yeah.
about my ex for the next,
Oh, dude.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that's, of course, that's what made this short film successful, is because it sticks in my brain. I keep thinking about it. You know, that's
Like,
why it's so successful.
does it make you feel good or bad, like emotionally?
I think both.
Okay.
You know, both, because I was bad because it's the thought of it.
It's a breakup movie. Yeah.
But the good thought about it is that I'm not alone. It's relatable.
It's like someone else
Someone
clearly
else.
went through something to where now
Exactly.
they're making a movie about this.
Exactly.
I see.
And that's another reason why like me writing this action adventure feature film I'm writing, it's like my dream movie. Cause like it's like I want to make this action adventure based off my life, but I know that like certain events, like certain scenes, I know someone else is gonna have that same story that I have. You know?
Okay.
And of course, like it's like watching Murphy's Law. Like everyone has gone through that event.
I hope not, dude. That's a terrible event.
I mean, someone out there
Yeah.
has to. But like,
Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
think it's getting a lot more common, especially with how the dating scene is right now.
oh yeah,
So the it's not soft launch, but like the soft death, the slow death.
yeah, dude. Yeah.
Dude, they're being filmed on the Murphy's Law camera and lens right now.
Really?
Yeah, I borrowed this for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Little
made
fun fact.
we'll go back to the dating
Okay,
conversation.
okay.
But with Murphy's Law, what made you? Because I noticed that the first scene,
The ramen scene.
yeah, the ramen scene, the lighting was green, and then the second scene it was red. Was there an intentional behind that?
So there aren't complementary colors on the color wheel intentionally. The green is
Yeah.
it's like I like having works cited references in my stuff if I can. Like I encouraged Mac and Credit Man to have a Wolf of Wall Street like homage,
Yeah.
right? Because like clearly that's one of the main inspirations for that film.
Oh, yeah.
we have a Glengarry Glen Ross homage in that film.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I really like having like, hey, like we're at least like we're aware that this other thing exists, you know, kind of, like we're aware we're standing on the shoulders of some of these great films, right? The green was a direct reference to the breakup scene in La La Land.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because that film was based off of a project for your boy Don K. Williams,
Yeah.
directing class, and the only guidelines that he gave us was you're assigned an actor, and then you make a film with them, and that was it. That was super open ended. And so I asked Caleb like, hey, send me some scenes where you really like the acting, and he sent me like a bunch of scenes like that, and one of them was the breakup scene from La La Land.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, we can do this. We could totally do something like this.
Oh yeah. Now like when you mentioned La La Land, like yeah, I totally see it.
Jazz was also a reference to that,
Yeah.
the Miles Davis track in there.
Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. You got like the complementary colors thing. Like green is the
Yeah,
opposite of red.
and that was from watching it a second time, because I was trying to find like okay, like searching more in the story,
Because it's like there is a reason for everything, but it may not be like the super in-depth reason. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But there is
It-
intent behind
yeah,
every
and
choice.
it's funny, like when you mentioned, because there can be intent behind every choice, and there's also can be happy accidents
Yeah.
that happen all the time, or you didn't even mean for it to happen, but it worked. Whether if it's like an Easter egg or a metaphor to the story. That's one thing cool about movie making, is that there's so many happy accidents.
Dude, it's incredible how often that does happen.
Yeah. Like when I was working on my ASU capstone, there was a point in the script where I shove the character,
Okay.
right? And then so that was like plotted in like the rehearsals. And then when we started shooting it, my other co-star found an opportunity to shove me
Okay.
earlier. So I was like, that was like another cool like you shove me, I shove you part. So that was like when we were shooting it. So that was like another detail we added and that was a happy accident. Like, because after the take, he was like, "Oh my god, like that, I didn't even realize about that. You know, I just shoved you. You know, that like Easter egg switch. You know."
Yeah.
So like we still like even like during like the shooting days, we still try to find little details in our performances. You know, so like the work, it's amazing. You know, like
You're treating the film like it's already finished in terms of like we need to find this. Is that what you're saying?
I feel like the work's never finished.
Okay.
You know, like even like if we're shooting, we've already done so many rehearsals, it will still feel like a rehearsal. Like we're still trying to search.
I see.
So like the work's never like, I think Don said this, like your best performance is the show after closing night and the next take after you wrap. That's your best performance. Meaning like the work's never finished.
I see.
Yeah. And I think Denzel Washington said that too. Like you never stop searching, even like after you wrap the film. Like there's always going to be some detail that you find.
That tracks with Denzel, the way he's like, oh, I never look back. You know, he's like only forward. You know, classic Denzel.
Yeah.
But
like in terms of like the work, it's like you always find something.
One of the Easter eggs that happened, well, happy accidents with Murphy's Law. If you notice at the very end, like one of the last shots, I haven't seen this film in like 6 months, but one of the last shots is one of the lights is off, like the lamppost.
Yeah, like there was no red, like it was just.
Yeah. But like one of the lampposts is off. Like they're like twin lampposts, and one of them is off. So when I location scouted, that lamp was working. And then when we showed up on the day, it was broken. Yeah. And I was like,
and I know the location too. I would drive by it multiple times. Yeah, at the Palm Court.
Yeah. Palm Court. And so that light was broken. I was like, all right, that's the light they're going to be under because that one is off. You know what I mean? And you know, it's just like a whole thing.
Cool. Yeah. But soft death.
Dude, the soft death.
The soft death.
The you know, they go out, the relationship that goes out with a whimper.
Yeah.
You know, or it's just like, it was like really something I had to like talk to, I forget if it was Caleb or Audrey about, maybe both of them, like the idea that they may not realize it until this very moment, but they knew subconsciously that the relationship was over before the movie started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sort of that off-screen lore.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, this is just a reaction to the relationship being over.
Yeah.
But you're still stuck in it.
Yeah, especially
because you're Gen Z and you don't like what's the word?
Confrontation.
Confrontation. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned confrontation because that's all storytelling and acting is conflicts. It's like with acting, you do the stuff you avoid in real life. Like in real life, you avoid confrontation, but in acting, you don't. You know?
Can you expand on that?
Like, that's another reason why people go to the movies. They want to see drama. They want to see conflict. So like when you're acting, don't avoid conflict. You're supposed to, you know, engage it. You know what I'm saying? That's what an acting coach said. And I think Michael Shirtliff, he was a casting director, and he wrote a book called Audition. And he mentioned that in his book. Is like conflict is like what makes the scene happen. That's why a scene exists. There's always conflict. You know.
Yeah, like you're making a scene. It's like that's the point, bro. Like
yeah.
I like that. The whole point is like
because like if there's no conflict, it's a boring movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like no one goes to the movie just to watch normal life. You know, it's like we won't watch something like events. You know what I'm saying?
But it is like. It is life, but it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It reminds me of that Nicolas Cage clip where it's like, you know, boring and mundane like real life. And he's like real life. You know what movie I'm talking about? I forget what movie it's from.
I forgot.
I see it on Reels all the time where he's talking about being a writer and like not having stuff to come up with because all he has is like, what if I want to make a movie that's boring like real life? And he's like, real life isn't boring. What are you talking about? It's a whole thing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Where it's like people die every day. You know, someone just got shanked in an alley. You know.
Oh, I've seen that clip.
Yeah.
I know.
I
what
feel
scene
really
you're
bad
talking
for not
about.
knowing what it's called, but
yeah,
I already said I don't
it was
watch
a very
movies,
popular. Yeah, I saw that on the Instagram reel. Yeah. And yeah, that's interesting too. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd say Murphy's Law is low-key real life.
It is.
So
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, I've seen that happen. I had seen that happen before I made that movie multiple times, and then it happened to me like a couple months after that movie. So I mean, but yeah, I don't know. What was your what was your favorite part of the movie? What part stuck out to you the most?
I think the beginning of the scene with the when you're gonna meet my parents.
Oh, like the interesting. So like the ramen scene.
Yeah. Because the parents, it's like I understand Caleb's character, you know. It's like, especially with like, you know, like meeting someone's parents, it's like you get so nervous, you know. It's like it's funny. Like everyone can be like confident in one thing, but when it comes to like meeting your significant other's parents, it's like, shit, am I good enough? You know, it's like you're already expected to be hated.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not.
that's so.
It's a really bad setup.
Yeah, exactly. And like, cause like I totally understand like where Caleb's character was coming from, and of course the significant other's like, what do you mean? It's just my parents. It's like, if only she had a like empathy, like and like can see like why we would think like that, you know. Because
that's really interesting.
It's
That's
very
that's
daunting.
what you got out of that.
It's very daunting, you know. It's like, you know, it's like, am I a good enough man? You know, to like, you know, like, am I going to be liked? You know, because obviously it's someone's daughter. They care for her, you know.
Yeah.
So like, it's like, fuck, like, you know, am I good enough? Like, it's nerve wracking. You know.
The first note I wrote down when I was character drafting for his character was, I'm not good enough. That was the first note I wrote down for him.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you got that specifically out of that line, because that whole line represents him wanting a committed relationship without actually committing, right? Because that's her way to call him out on like without her saying, because I could write, why won't you commit to me? I just don't feel secure in my, like, you know what I mean? I could write that,
Yeah.
but that, you know, no one wants to listen to that.
Yeah.
So the parents' dialogue and that sort of like, because if you know, like the whole dialogue shifts at that moment. That's the shift in that scene, is that line delivery. And so that was the vehicle for why aren't you, so what she's saying there is like, why won't you commit to me, right?
Yeah.
And he's like wanting all the, it's like being emotionally available. It's like you want all the benefits of relationship without putting anything in it emotionally.
100%.
And that's sort of what that was calling out. So it's interesting that you derived his sort of character flaw from that exchange.
I feel like a lot of people,
that wasn't really the intention of that exchange, but that's kind of,
because I feel like a lot of people can really relate to that, you know, like you're committed without the commitment, you know. Yeah, like it's just relationships are tricky, you know.
They're so interesting though in like a film sense, but like in real life it's like, bro.
Yeah.
Do you I guess, I don't know, this would be interesting because I know you talk about substitution a lot.
Yeah.
So like would you, I don't know, that script was really brutal to write.
Yeah.
Because of like personal experiences. Do you ever like, do you have a role, I don't know if you could think of an example of one that was like kind of brutal because of that? Or like maybe like just a high moment of emotion in a scene. Like it could be like something good, you know?
Yeah. It's hard to I think there's two. The one is playing Tom in Glass Menagerie.
Okay.
Because
you'll have to explain that one to me. I haven't seen
the
that.
Glass Menagerie. It's basically like with my character, I'm like fighting to escape, to get out, to like, because basically the plot is like leaving. Like he leaves his mom and his sister.
Okay.
To go away. I think he went like the army or something. You know, to go away and just abandons them. And then and then his father left at a very young age. So he, he pretty much did what his dad did.
Okay.
You know, not that my dad left, but I think like, but
this is the story of your character. Yeah.
I think like, it's weird. I didn't use any substitution for that role because it was all like imagination. Like, wow, like I'm like finding a way to get out, but like then I play a future me where I'm regretting my decision.
Yes.
You know, I think that like was really like emotional because it's like I gotta make sure I don't do that. You know.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
I get this feeling. This is a lot less high stakes than what you're talking about, obviously.
Yeah.
But whenever I almost never go out to eat by myself, especially not in a sit-down restaurant. Especially not that. I would never do that. It's like, even if I was in a great mood and I was like, oh, I really want like a steak. I want to go to like get a steak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would never do that because it would bum me out, because whenever I go to like a restaurant by myself and get served at a table by myself, I always project myself like 50 years in the future. I was like, this is your trajectory. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is what it feels like. This is a preview emotion to the emotion of having never found your kin or like someone you like, you know, like romantically or friendship, family wise.
And you know what's funny? You mentioned that about like never finding your significant other, you know? That's how I feel about like if I'm playing a role and like I win the girl in the end, right? Like in the story, then like when I stop shooting that story or that film and I go back to real life, it's like I don't have that person, you know? So like if I were to play, like if I'm in a romantic film, you know, and I'm like, I have like, you know, the girlfriend or whatever, you know, and then I look at my life, like I don't have that. I only have it in the story, in play pretend, you know? That psychological, it's like, shit, you know?
Is it, what's the feeling around that? Is it like jealousy for your character, or is it like just you're bummed?
I'm just bummed, you know? Like I'm bummed when I'm not. It's like this feeling of like, I can only experience this when I'm acting, not in real life, you know?
I know what you mean.
So I would think like, and I feel like that's why like a lot of people would write like romance.
Oh
in
yeah,
their
living
movies.
vicariously through your characters.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's because they want to experience that in real life, you know. So they try to fill that void through writing. So if I'm playing a character, it's like cool. Like I get a girlfriend in this movie.
Yeah.
You know.
And the main character is a writer. It's just
yeah. But then like because like in real life, it's like I'm trying to fill that void. You know.
Yeah.
It's because
that's interesting you say that, because when I was taking a class with Bill True, his screenwriting class, definitely the best class I took at that school.
Yeah.
I can happily say that. The feature I wrote it stems from an experience I wish I could have had, that I feel like I missed out on.
Yes.
Right.
That's yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I kind of realized that about my own piece, I was starting to think like, hey, we might, a decade from now, when Generation Z is in the industry and working, and actually has the power level to make executive decisions, we will probably see a lot of high school films because of what COVID did to a lot of people's high school experiences.
Yeah.
/ college, academia films.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Where a lot of those scripts will start coming out where it's like, man, like, I didn't get to go to prom. Let me write this movie about a guy who gets to go to prom.
So then like,
or a girl who you know, she becomes like prom queen and all her friends, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Because I'm bleeding into my feature film, is I'm writing something that I wish I have experienced in, you know?
That you wish you could have done?
Yeah.
Is it something you missed out on, or you wish you could do?
I don't know. I think a bit of both, you know, without giving it away.
Okay.
It's still in writing, you know,
Yeah.
but it's like in a perfect world, obviously, no, like a film perfect world's not perfect, but like in a perfect world, this would happen. It's like I'm expecting myself in real life to not have that. So I'm gonna write about it, you know, how I want it to go. You feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely very interesting. Yeah. Like you avoid going to eat by yourself.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I'll go through a drive-through and eat at home by myself because that's normal. I'm not gonna sit in the restaurant by myself.
Yeah.
I just see myself in third person.
What
like
about-
at 55 years old with
Oh yeah.
no kids, no family. It's just, man, this is just you, bro. You chose
That's
film
why
and no one loves you.
That's why I don't like working part-time jobs. Anything that's not acting, I hate. Cause then I project myself working there for a long time and not being an actor. You know?
Okay.
So that's why like I try my best to not work a part-time job.
Because you're like, this is gonna be me in 20 years.
Yes. Because I'm like, what am I doing? You know? Because like the moment I quit that part, I've gone through a lot of part-time jobs. But like every single time I quit a part-time job and I focus on acting, that's when I feel like I'm making progress. No matter how little progress it is.
Mm.
You know? It's like if I'm working a shift, I just feel dead inside. It's like, what am I doing? Like this is going to be me 50 years. I feel like Squidward. You know?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's dreading.
Yeah, and then you'll see like some old people at your job.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude, that does things to you. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. 100%.
It's like it's like a mom like trying to make money for her kids and like, bro, I'm doing this job and I'm like 20, you know?
Yeah,
Or like when I
yeah.
was working at Wendy's back in the day, it's like there's like a grandma working there. It was not good for my mental health to see that every day.
Man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Because then it messes with your head like, oh my God, do I have to wait this long for my dream to happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because like then like a lot of, you know, you get a lot of people saying like, oh, you know, don't expect to be an overnight success. You, like expect 15 years and then you break in the industry and then, you know, and I hate it when people say that because it's feeding into it will feed into your subconscious mind that, oh, I gotta wait this long. But of course, everyone's on their own time, so you never know. It's like I can have my big break a year from now, or 20 years from now. I don't know because it's I'm on my own time, you know.
Yeah.
So like, but like, I just hate it when people are saying like, you know, expect. I get where they're coming from, but it's like don't feed me that to my subconscious.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like you have enough negative emotions from yourself.
Yeah.
I don't need you telling me.
It's just like, bro, like.
It's like, bro, you don't think I think about this like every night when I go to
like,
bed?
It's just like I would rather, again, back to Arnold. I would rather think that I'm already living in it. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, why do I want to keep thinking about, oh, it's gonna take me 15 years? No, like I wanna think about, nah, just one more year. Because then that puts me in a better mood, you know. And,
That's interesting.
You
Okay.
know, it's like, and like when you think about in that mindset, because that motivate, like if you think about like, oh, like this is gonna happen soon, okay, let's go. Then like that gets you amped up to like work hard and be prepared for it. So when the opportunity actually comes, you're ready for it. Because if someone tells you it's gonna take 15 years. Then a party is going to be like, all right, 15 years, I'll just sit around.
I'll just cruise for 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I would rather be in a mindset of like, no, like, you're going to have your big break. It's going to happen soon. You're going to have young success. When I'm adapting that mindset, then I'm like, okay, fast paced. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to train hard. I'm going to take this amount of acting classes, you know? So then years later, like it's accelerated growth because of that mindset. Adaptation, and mindset's really crucial, for sure. 100%.
That's really I have a similar thing, like because you're talking about like just waiting for your opportunity, like being ready for it. Like I was like, oh, luck is when opportunity beats preparation, right?
Yeah.
My whole thing is like, I think that's one of the main reasons why directing was so attractive to me, because you kind of get to control your fate a little more.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like. Mm-hmm. There's that, but there's also, all these other things about directing. But it's like, okay, if I am creating these banger movies, right? Or as Tarantino says, if I'm making kick-ass films, right? At that point, it's just like, will people recognize that it's good, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm waiting for, is
Yeah.
people to understand that it's good. Like, obviously, right now, we're building our craft, right?
Yeah.
But when you get to the point where like you're just making good stuff, I find a lot of solace in knowing that, okay, if people did see this, if the right person saw this, they would know that I am blank, right? Whether that's good or bad, do you know what I mean? But like being really secure in like knowing, not like how good you are, but like just like the level of stuff you're making,
Yeah.
right? Because you can be really good and make terrible stuff.
Yeah.
We see all the time,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, if my output is at such a high level that I like know in my heart of hearts that like, hey, like, say nobody saw it, but I know that it was good. It's just, the fate said no, the right people aren't going to see this, and that's something I'll have to deal with, right? But I know it's not like, hey, like I just wasn't making good stuff. You know what I mean? And people just didn't dig it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm at the whim of the algorithm, fine.
Yeah.
But I know that the people who do see this are like, dang, that was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Because like that kind of happened with Murphy's Law. Like, Murphy's Law, people talk to me about more than any of my other films. It has the least amount of views, least amount of engagement of any of my films.
Oh yeah.
By far. It's at the very bottom of my projects in terms of engagement. But in terms of people talking to me about it, it's at the top. So,
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting learning like from like behind the camera, like the career path, or like what to like the steps to do to like to achieve like in the industry.
It's interesting you say behind the camera, because I definitely feel like I'm in front of the camera.
Huh.
Whenever you ever show someone a really not necessarily narratively emotional, but emotional for you scene, and you almost want to like put your hood up and like hide in the corner while they watch it. You ever shown someone a scene like that?
Yeah.
Where like you were in it, or even worse, like you're writing and they're reading your script out loud to you.
Oh. I don't know. No. Yeah, like the putting the hood to like, yeah, I get that feeling.
Yeah.
Because sometimes like it's funny, like if I'm watching an acting clip and it's me acting, if I don't get that feeling, then I didn't do a good job in that scene.
Yeah.
So
but
if I'm like cringing at myself, then that means I did a good job, because then I'm like then
cringing in the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, I can't believe I made that decision.
No.
Yeah.
It's like because it's me, and then like I'm portraying, what the character is feeling in its goal, and like I can tell like, oh man, like I can't believe I was acting like that, but that's good because that's
Yeah.
that means I did
I
good,
feel that for me, at least, that comes from like being emotionally naked, right?
Yeah.
Being emotionally nude. Like, especially like when, like, so in Bill's class, whenever he would do these things where like he'd do table reads of these scripts every, once people start getting them done, the whole class was table reads.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I wrote a romance script,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
102 page romance script.
Yeah.
And I was just like clawing my face off while they were reading this, because you're not allowed to read any of it. You just have to listen and absorb as people read your stuff. Like Bill will usually do the action lines.
Yeah.
Like so and so went to do this.
Yeah.
But then like you have to cast people in your class to play these characters.
Interesting.
And it was dude. It was. I feel that way, like especially directing. I feel like I'm very much so in front of the camera, especially when I show it to people. Where it's like I'm really it's like, oh man, like I can't believe you put that in there. Like that's dang, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like, kind of like Murphy's Law. It's like if you got that feeling of like, wow, that hits really close to home. Like imagine you made me, you made that.
Yeah.
Right?
I would be like, oh man, I cannot believe I put that out there in the world.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like even like because you'll watch that like, wow, that really hit me here, and like you're thinking about yourself, but you're not thinking about, no offense, like you're thinking about yourself as you should as a viewer.
Yeah.
You're not, but you as a viewer aren't thinking about, wow, Ben put that out, like he must have a terrible love life. Like, but as the creator, we feel like we're presenting that.
Oh, I see.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Like if I see you act great in a film, like if I watch Credit Man, I'm not thinking like, wow, like Zach like hates people. Like that's not what I think. You know what I mean? Like Zach must have so much experience in his life of like hating other people and screwing people over and lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like we get that for like these emotional scenes, but not for stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm not thinking like, wow, like, okay, well with Heath Ledger, people really did think that, which is crazy. But like with Jack Nicholson, like I watched A Few Good Men, I'm not thinking like, oh wow, Jack Nicholson is totally okay with killing people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that.
Yeah.
But and like you get these emotional films, you know,
Interesting.
it's like you start thinking that people will think that. It's like, bro, you got to remember like they're the viewer.
Yeah,
And they're thinking about themselves and how they feel about.
And that's
what
true
you do.
with real life. It's like a lot of people aren't focused on you, and they're too focused on themselves.
Yeah.
And their insecurities.
Egocentrism.
Yeah, exactly. Versus like, so like when people are like, oh, I don't know if like I don't want like I don't want people, I don't know how people are going to think about me. It's like they're really not like, yeah, they'll see you for 1 second, but then they're just going to go back to thinking about
But
themselves.
if you did a good job, they'll only see you if you did a bad job. If you did a good job, I believe that they see them and you.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it's like, you know, it's like any art form in film, it's like if you did it wrong, now they're thinking about you. Or if you did it poorly, now they're thinking about you. Right?
Yeah.
Like if I have some like bad camera work, people are like, "Oh, who is the cinematographer?" Now they're thinking about me, not for a good reason.
Yeah.
If I did a great job, they're not thinking about me. They're thinking about how that makes them feel.
But then it's funny because we humans naturally try to find something bad. You know?
Do we?
I think so. Like we always try to find something negative. You know? It's like everyone has like a negative mindset, I feel like. You know? It's like that's what I think. So when like I think so, you know? Like just obviously like we don't purposely try to think negatively. But like it's like an energy, you know, it's like it's always like there's something negative, it's gonna be easily drawn towards it, even though we don't mean to. You feel?
So when you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, are you thinking negatively about the film?
No.
You're just there to have a great time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. But I get what you're saying about like if you do bad work, people notice.
Yeah, that's when they notice you. Otherwise, they're thinking about themselves.
Yeah. But it could also be like an insecurity, because if they're pointing out something bad.
Oh, you're talking about filmmakers?
No,
Okay.
just in general.
Because I say that is vapid in the film.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Interesting.
People are always trying to be like, oh, like because I don't know. I hate to hate on the film community, but like, you know, it's always like, oh, if I know that this is wrong, that infers that I could do a better job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't believe they lit this that way. It's like because obviously I could light it better. You know what I mean? That's kind of where it comes from. I think at least.
Yeah.
But you're just talking about normal people.
I feel like what you mentioned, that's also relatable to not just filmmaking, but people in general.
Oh yeah.
It's like when they point something bad, say, I can do that.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
You know, because that's also a point of insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, yeah.
I don't know, like when I see like when I see anything that I know I can't do, at least right now, because you know, obviously you can build skills.
Yeah.
Like I see like Michael Bublé or Bruno Mars, some of these like incredible male vocalists.
Uh-huh.
I just watch that and I'm just like, I'm in like surrender mode. It's like, this is just incredible. I can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if they're obviously flat somewhere, I'm not thinking about that. It's like, this is just great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about these like incredible films.
Mm.
You know, I watch like, you know, it's like, could I make a freaking feature even if it sucked? Probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
Yeah. Moneyball. I would love to do a baseball movie. That's definitely up there, like my dream roles. Because I used to play baseball.
Like, would you do Moneyball? Would you do a money movie? Would you do a movie like Moneyball, or do you want to like
Anything.
be a player?
Be a baseball player.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something more like The Natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
No.
It's a great book. Kind of a
Really?
yeah, like people. Bernard Herrmann. Not Bernard Herrmann. That's another guy. Dude, The Natural. I have like a rocky relationship with that movie because I'd heard so many good things about it. Robert Redford, and I read the book, and the book was great. And then the movie just was like I fell asleep in the movie. So one of the few movies I fell asleep watching. Yeah, I don't know what it was about it. They changed the ending of the movie. It's from the book, so I'm not gonna spoil it.
Yeah, but yeah, I would love to like be a baseball player in a movie. That'd be so dope. I love baseball,
Dude, there's something. I mean, quote Brad Pitt. How can you not be romantic about baseball? But
yeah,
there's something about baseball movies that really do hit different.
Yeah.
Like even movies like The Sandlot.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something about that. Like even Moneyball hits different, and that takes place in the 2000s.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. So you can't say like, oh, it's because of classic America. No, it's like those
Yeah.
2000 whatever.
And I think that's one thing great about like baseball in general. It's a lot like acting, you know, because because I used to be a pitcher, and there's so much like technicality behind being a pitcher, like how do you throw a fastball, a curveball, a knuckleball, a slider, and like strategizing like who's on base, you know, like, and you have to communicate with the catcher or your scene partner. Okay, throw a fastball. And then you can either shake your head, no, I don't want to throw a fastball. Like, I don't want to throw outside the strike zone. I want to throw it down the middle. You know, there's just so much thinking, and like behind like the sport. It's a lot like not just acting. I think filmmaking in general. You know, it's like there's so many ways we can go about it, but we have to make a choice. You know, artistic choice. And I think that's why a lot of like like a lot of athletes can, it's like a sport. You know. And sports is an art. They're both coincidentally are like the same thing, you know.
It's also something that very few people get to do at a high level.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to do.
Yeah.
You know.
Acting definitely has, or just filmmaking has more leeway, because you're not on a time crunch with like sports.
That's true, dude. Sports is also like if you're if you're 5'2", you're just not gonna be a professional basketball player.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
Yeah, that's just how it is.
Yeah, like sports has like limitations. Like same with acting, but acting not really. Like the only limitations to acting is like your type and like the age. You know.
Yeah. Especially now.
Yeah, exactly. But like, obviously, like if I'm like I can't, I can't pursue a career in football. It's too late for that. But I can pursue a career in acting. That's like the only difference with like sports and filmmaking. But the aspect of it is all the same. Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to someone, and then he said like, it's like you can be in the NFL, great, that's awesome, but now let's talk about how many Super Bowls can we win. It's like even if you made it in the industry, like don't stop there. Why are you stopping there? Always try to go for more. You feel? That's why I love it. I love Timothée Chalamet's SAC Award speech when he said he wanted to be one of the greats.
Yeah.
I feel like that's so awesome. I
know a lot of people don't talk about this. They'll talk like this. Yeah.
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 And I think like him saying that inspired me to be like him. So like the fact that he is in pursuit of greatness, that probably motivated a lot of upcoming actors to work just as hard as him. That's great.
Yeah, because I don't know, like he was one of the actors I was most interested in what they were going to do next in the last couple of years, just because of where he was positioned in terms of his career and the industry.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that he's obviously he knows it because he's a smart guy, but he feels comfortable putting it out there into the world. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that's a whole different thing. where a lot of people are like, oh, Timothy Chalamet is like one of the premier actors today, which is true.
Mhm.
But it's for him, he's like, I'm positioned right now to be in the same conversation as, what do you say, Daniel Day-Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Like that is really cool. I obviously that's also another reason why he's where he is.
Yeah.
But it's like the hedonic treadmill. It's like, where are you at in life? It becomes normal.
Yeah.
The hedonic rhythm,
No.
where it's like you will grow accustomed to what you have. Where it's like you probably feel fine right now, nothing insane, but I guarantee you, if last night you were battling a stuffy nose and you couldn't breathe out of 2 nostrils, you think, and you could breathe well today, you think like, oh, I'm on the top of the world right now.
Yeah.
It's like income streams,
Yeah.
stuff like that, or like opportunity, like Timothy Chalamet, like you just do whatever movie you want. It's like relatively, right?
Yeah.
But then he feels like, okay, that's now normal. That is now the new norm, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what is higher than this? And
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
I gotta remind myself about that, the hedonic rhythm and hedonic treadmill all the time. It's just like, I feel very blessed that I get to do the job that I do,
Mm-hmm.
and also that I have the opportunity to pursue film in addition to that job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
it's like, I could still be at Wendy's right now.
That's true.
Who says I get to not be there?
Yeah.
Right?
That's 100%.
And also, like, I don't know. I there's a lot of, for an industry where people say thank you, there is a surprising lack of gratitude.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I want to thank my agent. I want to thank so and so.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this person's film. I'm gonna post on my story. But like legitimate gratitude,
Yeah.
I feel like is very sparse for the amount that people claim to express it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it really is such a privilege.
Like,
Especially like
you didn't have to be born in, whatever,
yeah.
2000, whatever, 1990, whatever. I don't know how old you are. You didn't have to be born in a time where you can upload your acting stuff to the internet and anybody can see that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially like, oh yeah, because like, how like, because everything's so online and everything for me it's self-tape now. So I have the ability to submit to movies or audition for stuff in the comfort of my home.
You
versus
also live in a time where you have a camera available.
Exactly.
Even if it's your phone.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just have my phone. It's like, bro, you have a camera.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Exactly.
So
it's like it, and because like the only like, because I have to pay for casting networks $30 a month just to keep my headshots and my commercial reel up there, right? But that is $30 a month. It's way better than back then, like having to cost money to print out headshots to bring to the in-person auditions and print out your resumes.
Develop that film.
Exactly. Yep. Like it was like I can't complain. Like I can't complain just paying simply $30 a month because everything's online. It's like I really have to print headshots now. I just like my agent can just submit me for a role in Actors Access. So it's like I can't. Yeah, it's like it's especially the time's it's great now.
Yeah, I mean, I worry for the overall state of the industry and where it's going, just in general. In like the larger conversation, but yeah, like what a great time that it's like the quality that you're being recorded in right now is impeccable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's like, the last movie you watched was probably in 2K if it was at a theater and we're recording in 4. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible time.
Absolutely.
Movies have only been around for a little over a century.
Mm-hmm.
Humans have been around for like thousands and thousands.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think about that with, space exploration all the time. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, history is so long, but we've only had space access for like that much, that amount of time. I feel that about movies.
Yeah.
Cameras, film, it's only been around for so long.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
It also, like, I think about this all the time. It didn't have to be a respected art form either.
Explain.
Like, if you're like, oh, I make movies, I am an actor. People are like, that's cool. If you're like, I do theater. People are like, oh, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You're
The-
like
the only time-
the theater kid,
Yeah,
right?
like the only time people care about theater is if a celebrity's starring
if
in,
an
in a play.
actor's doing
Like if I mention someone, oh yeah, I'm on a Broadway play, they'll be like, oh cool, yeah, it's awesome, you know. Versus, yeah, I'm starring in a movie. What? That is amazing, man. Congratulations. And another example, you know, oh yeah, I'm in a Broadway play. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm acting with Denzel Washington. Oh, winner tickets.
Yeah,
You know what
right?
I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, especially with like theater. Theater's very like film. I mean, theater's still going wrong. It's good that it's still going on.
Yeah.
But because of
I saw Wicked last night at Gamage.
Oh really? How was
Yeah.
it?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But because of like films, it definitely like it hindered the popularity of like stage. Like people don't even think about stage. They just think about, oh, what movie do you want to see?
Mm-hmm.
You know, versus like back then, like, it was like
Oh yeah.
back then it was like, oh, the theater was the norm, and then
That was the entertainment, yeah.
films was like, oh, film is film. But now it's switched. It's crazy, you know. Yeah. And I would call myself a hypocrite because I definitely prefer film over theater, you know?
Well, it's what you like.
Yeah. So like I definitely see where like people today, like why like it doesn't matter. Like people don't care for theater.
Yeah.
I get that because again, like I wanted to be in, again, like I watched when I saw Indiana Jones, that's when I wanted to become an actor.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's because again, I saw something on the screen. Like a theater play didn't inspire me to be an actor. You know? I think theater's great for acting training because you're on stage with hundreds of people, you know, and there's the director can't say cut. You're there for 2 hours on stage. You have the same character. So acting on stage is where you actually stage is an actor's medium, 100%. But so I'm definitely glad I did a lot of plays. So I'm very thankful that I did stage to gain that experience artistically with my acting. But I know like it's like, yeah, like when I'm on a film set, that's where like I feel really passionate. You know, like being in front of the camera, that's when I'm like, let's go. You know?
Yeah.
Like I get to really tell a story.
Yeah, dude, theater. I have such like. I feel like such a specific way about theater. I like the amount of professional, you know, touring plays that I've seen. I can count on both hands, and it probably made me cry the amount of times that with films, and I've seen countless films.
Yeah.
I've seen probably like 7 or 8 or 9 plays.
Yeah.
And it's like the ratio of like cries per watch, like really emotionally getting me,
Yeah.
is so high for theater.
Interesting.
And there's something about like the reason that I love film is the reason that I love theater is it's about like time. Do you know what I mean? Like the, you know, great scene. They talk about this in Babylon with Brad Pitt talking about like, you know, in 100 years, some kid could pull up your tape, you know, and for those 30 minutes, you're alive again.
Yeah.
Right. I think about that whenever I watch Robin
And
Williams.
that's a great scene from Brad Pitt.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, because
Right,
like I yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think about that every time I watch any old Robin Williams and now most recently Norm Macdonald clips on like Craig Ferguson or
Yeah.
Carson, something like that. It's like, man, like they are live for this 10-minute appearance that I'm watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I do this also.
Yeah.
You know, it's like really what is the heart of somebody, unless obviously they're mute or blind, is like their voice.
Yeah.
Right. That's who they are. You know, like people, you know, like people are like, oh, if I could like, you know, like a dead relative or a parent, it's like people keep the phone calls. Those are more, you know, back when people used to say messages.
Mm-hmm.
That was the commodity that people most prized over, you know, pictures are great. But if you get to hear them talking to you
Oh yeah.
on a phone call, do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Think about 9/11, like those phone calls, like,
Oh man.
you know what I mean? You ever listen to
Yeah.
those? It's like, wow, like I can see a person, they could be like, hey, they died in 9/11. I'm like, that's really unfortunate. Like, but I never knew them. You listen to the phone call from them. Hey, that person died in 9/11. That's a completely different
Yeah.
emotional feeling.
Oh yeah.
And so like, like the podcast and whatnot, but with theater, it's like, it's all finite. And
Yeah.
that's where the value comes from. Where the film, it's like film, unless, the world ends, like film is forever.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what draws me towards film is like, the, how do you achieve immortality is like you document, right?
Yeah.
Really? Like, you know what I mean? Like someone could pull up this podcast in 100 years,
Mm-hmm.
and they could really get you and who you are.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this whole project is called the Time Capsule podcast. Like that's what the whole point of this
Yeah.
is to capture like the essence of people, and the true essence of people is their voice, in my opinion. Like that's how I feel about it. But it's so interesting with theater. It's like, it's also fleeting,
Yeah.
it's only there, like leave it all on stage, like truly, it was only there and never again,
Yeah.
like even if the original Broadway cast for like Mary Poppins from like 19 whatever got back together and did it, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
That company that did that, that's it. That's never again, that will never happen again, ever. And that's so cool. And I feel the same way about film, except we're given the privilege to experience it a little bit.
Yeah, but like even like yeah, like that's like the only like cool thing is like watching it just to relive that experience. Because I know like as an actor, like once the film wraps, then that's closing night. You
Yeah.
know? So like if I'm
Especially since we're not really in the tax bracket to be doing reshoots.
Yeah, exactly. So like if I'm watching like my own movie, it's like cool, like I get to somewhat try to relive my experience on set, but I'm never going to be on set again.
Not with those people, not with that story.
Yeah, exactly. It's just there to watch now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've lived through that story, but now I can only watch it from a third person.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's not where I thought you were going with that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's like I feel like that's one thing common about film and theater. It's like if you're you experiencing it. Like with theater, like you and the audience are only experiencing it for this night when it closes. But like with film, like the audience can watch it forever, but with you, the people behind it can watch it, but will never have that experience again because it's wrapped,
Yeah.
There's so many like funny memories on set, but like you can only watch it now.
That's so interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, for better or worse, the filmmaking is not actors medium, it's an editor's medium.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where my headspace is most of the time.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the time,
Yeah.
I'm in editing headspace. So even when I'm directing, I'm like watching the movie in my head.
Yeah. And it's funny that it's like an editor's medium because like that's another reason why I love film acting is because like with like a stage production, you have to project to an audience,
Mm-hmm.
like you have to carry your acting through a stage of an audience. But with film, you don't have to do that. You can just authentically be truthful, actually be truthful in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, it's like, I just want to be, again, it's like, I want to express the story in a truthful way. And that's one thing, I think that's the one con that I think about theater is like, you have to like express it, you have to project and all that stuff. you
Yeah,
know?
I remember when they had that, they filmed the Hamilton play,
Yeah.
and like people were like noticing all these things. It's like, bro, they do that anyway. You just
Yeah.
can't see it.
Yeah, exactly. But like with film, if I'm acting on film, it's like I don't have to worry about that. It's like I'm enough. Finally, I can just be me. Obviously, with like doing the technique and breaking down doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, dude, like it's 4K, 24 frames per second. They're capturing my eye movements. They're capturing every little detail. So I don't have to do extra. I can just be in the moment. And that's what's great about film acting. It's It's like, finally, let's just stop being fake. Let's be real. Like, actually.
That's that. Yeah, as for an actor to say, let's.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
oxymoronic in a cool way.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I never thought about that. Where it's like, so for you, the vulnerability of like, just like seeing your pores on a screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even like, then take Star Wars, for example. Yeah, it's a space adventure, but it's still like film is still like, real people, human emotions in an imaginary circumstance. You know what I'm saying? That's just one thing cool about film. It's just that extra vulnerability that you get to have. It's like that inner little details. Because like on stage, it's just like, yeah, you can get that on stage, but again, you have to portray it to the back of the audience. But in a film, it's like, bro, like, just come closer. The camera's the audience. The camera does like the work for you. It's like, finally, it's like Surf's Up. Just let me be me. You know what I'm saying?
To quote the great Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But like, that's just obviously like, there's a lot of people that I know that definitely prefer stage, and that's totally fine.
Well, it's a whole different skill set that's impressive in its own right. So like you're talking about like, oh, they have to project to the back and it's like not super close on them.
Yeah.
Like keeping the attention of people live is like consistently
absolutely.
is so like that's crazy. But then what you're talking about where it's like, oh, you can't hide anything. That's a whole that's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's like two different flavors of like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I definitely prefer like the film route of like nothing to hide. But so it's like, I totally like get like where like why people like a certain like actors, they only want to do stage productions. I totally get it. And if that feels like, if that really makes them happy, then go for it. I just know that for me, I love like the up close, the close ups,
Yeah.
where it's like, I don't have to like, I could just like, I'm enough. I don't have to do extra. You feel?
As an editor, I'm like
An actor, yeah.
No, but like me as an editor reacting to that, it's like I find that fascinating that like that's the way you feel, because it's like I am acutely aware of like all these little things that we do to like enhance what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we can talk about Credit Man pretty openly because a lot of people have seen it.
How many people have seen it?
I know the entire portfolio class has seen it.
Okay.
There was like 48 views on the unlisted link, so like it obviously was shared. So
yeah.
But like I'm not talk plot too much.
Yeah.
But with Credit Man, I mean the very end scene, like the iconic scene with you and Angelica, yeah.
Yeah.
Like so many things went into making that hit the way it did. So like I'll just start listing. So the entire movie was on tripod until halfway through the movie, and then that scene is the only scene in the entire movie that was handheld close up. The saturation of that movie was low until the very end. That's the only scene in the movie with higher saturation and a different color palette. It is also, the movie is very loud musically with the score, and that scene is one of the only scenes in the movie without any music.
Yeah.
That scene has the longest takes that are not intentional oneers in the entire movie. It is the only scene that takes place entirely in close up.
Yeah.
And it's the only scene in the movie that like starts in the middle of a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was talking to Mac about that in terms of like the script, just generally. It's like, yeah, a lot of your scenes in this movie have a beginning and an end. We're not thrown into them. That's the only scene that you're thrown into it.
Yeah.
You're already talking to her before the camera turns on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of cool because like that, again, that's like the turning point of Clifford.
Yeah.
So in metaphorically, it's like, screw the beginning. I'm just gonna get right to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool that you think the way you do, because it gives like the talking about like streamlining. Going back to that, it's the most streamlined raw material, and like that's exactly what the editor wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like so good.
As an editor, what do you look for in like performances from an actor?
I look at eyes a lot.
Oh yeah.
Just because like the screen is so big,
Yeah.
you know, the eyes, like you're talking about, like it really, you're so close on actors
Yeah.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can fake a laugh, you know, you can fake a drunk walk. You can't fake your eyes.
Exactly.
They're just so telling. Actors who can have consistent eyes to their portrayed emotion,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like, you were actually giving me a lot of options in the cutting room,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. But like you were giving me like eyes that made sense with that option.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's that, and like honestly, like really, really solid line delivery, however you choose, whatever decision you make with the line delivery, specifically dialogue.
Yeah.
And like I can get in like really, I guess like as an editor, like I would say really consistent decisions, consistency within your decisions, varied or not. I don't have an opinion on varied because that's, you know, an actor you can choose. You know, Nicholson's one of those guys who gives the same thing every time, just 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And Christopher Walken's one of those guys who gave 100% in a bunch of different directions.
Yeah.
You know, 100% here, 100% here, 100% here, where Nicholson just goes straight forward the whole time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter, but they're both giving absolute consistency with what decision they made.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So as an editor, that's what I would look for. As a director, I'm very much thinking about where like their voice comes from within them and how that dictates their performance.
Interesting.
So it's like I can tell so fast when like someone didn't commit to a line delivery.
Yeah.
You can hear it in the amount of air they use.
Yeah.
I think about air usage all the time as a director. Where it's like that's probably my biggest pet peeve as a director to actors is like not utilizing the air the way that made sense with what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's interesting how like you mentioned that, because I don't think about air all the time, you know? I just think about, you know, what do I want in the scene? And then I'm not going to stop until I achieve that, you know? It's kind of going back to like the Ivana Chubbuck technique. So I think because of like using a technique, it's like you don't have to think about like, oh, like how should I say this line?
Yeah, I guess like
You
as a
know?
director, I'm more thinking in terms of qualifiers.
Yeah, I see.
Like, was this the result? I'm very directors have to be result based
yeah.
in terms of how they analyze. Obviously, like process is very important, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, a good director is the one who gets the results that they want.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like I could listen to a take and know if the action was right.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like I don't know. This is really interesting. Like people ask me sometimes, it's like, okay, where do you get like your timing from with editing? Because like, you know, it's like that's really hard to explain. It's like, oh, I think it's right here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like where if they ask you as an actor, where do you get your timing from? It's probably kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain like how I do like my technique. It's hard to explain. That's
Yeah.
why like I don't think I'll ever be an acting coach. I just can't. Being a coach is a very good skill.
Oh, dude. Yeah, being an educator.
Yeah, because I'm like, dude, I cannot do that. Like I know my process. And of course I'm still learning. Like I'm always still taking acting classes. I'm learning from other acting coaches. But like I can like absorb information while I'm being taught.
Uh-huh.
But I can't explain the teaching.
Yeah.
You feel?
Yeah.
So yeah, like
As a teacher, I totally understand that.
yeah, because I'm like, because art is so subjective. That's why there's so many different acting techniques. There's the Adler technique. There's Uta Hagen, Meisner, you know. So like whatever works best for them, you know, that's what's gonna give their best work. You know, like an actor might not like or might not gain a lot from Ivana Chubbuck, but they might gain a lot from Meisner. And then for me, it's like for me, I don't really do good with Stanislavski maybe, or maybe Uta Hagen, but I like Ivana Chubbuck. Ivana Chubbuck's more just goal oriented, and that's how I operate on a daily life. Is okay, I have a goal. How do I get that goal? You know. That's how I equivalent to my character developments is, okay, what goal do they have, and how to, like, what actions, and like define the beats, like how do I make sure like every scene objective I do, it has to relate towards the goal, like what do they want most out of life, you know? 'Cause that's ultimately what like the movie's about, you know. So that's what works for me.
Yeah, you like I can identify that you're a really good learner.
Yeah.
And that's a skill that's completely different from educating.
Yeah,
Learning.
I feel like I yeah,
You can identify really fast, it seems, like what works for you.
exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like that I'm definitely grateful that like I'm always willing to learn, because when you stop learning is when you
Well, it's not even willingness. It's just how quickly. I wouldn't say learning is like picking up stuff quick. That's not it.
Yeah.
It's understanding
I see
how,
yeah.
like, what applies to you. You know what I mean?
yeah
Where it's like, you know, someone could pick up acting really fast. They may have just gotten lucky. You're able to identify which technique works for you really well and understand why that works for you.
exactly
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everybody could explain why something works for them. Do you know what I mean?
yeah 100%. Yeah.
No, like what I was talking about with like the editing and timing, it's like I could explain where I got it from. That doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. Like,
Yeah.
I used to, so this is really interesting. Like, I had limited screen time, like as a kid, right? My parents were like, oh, you can have an hour. This is literally what it was, 1 hour on no homework days. And in American academia, that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So how else am I going to watch movies other than downloading scene MP3s from YouTube?
I see.
I would download YouTube to MP3 converter, but not songs, not freaking, you know, not Treasure by Bruno Mars or Party Rocker back in 20 whatever.
Yeah.
I'm downloading clips of scenes that just the
Oh.
MP3.
Wow.
And that's how I watched movies as
Yeah.
a kid when like I was out of screen time, you know,
Interesting.
or like we weren't watching one like with the family. I'd just throw on the MP3 and I'd listen to a whole scene and I'd like play it in my head, and like subconsciously all that timing, you know, because you see the whole scene and your brain has to supply all the cuts,
Yeah.
all the camera angles,
Yeah.
all the moves.
Oh yeah.
All you're getting is the vocal performance and like the Foley
Yeah.
and the score, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't do that anymore because now I just go to YouTube and watch it. But
Yeah.
maybe I should go back to that. I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah. Huh.
Like just listening, because I really do feel that film is an audio-driven medium, even if it's, you know, it's like film is a visual medium. It's like, is it? Is it, or does audio drive it? You know? Because at the end of the day, you were talking about a film that got scrapped because of poor audio.
Yeah.
If the resolution was low and the audio was great, they probably wouldn't have scrapped that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, like, I think it's the subconscious things that stick out to us most as an audience. So, like, for like eyes, right?
Yeah.
For me, like breath usage, people don't think about that, but like instantly, like when someone is like lying to you, right? Unless you're
Yeah.
just stupid, because they're stupid people. If you know when someone's lying to you because of all these subconscious things, if you're an actor and you're not doing a good job, you're lying to people because you're not actually, you're actually doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not being authentic.
Yeah, it's like when you have actor thoughts during a scene, then you're not doing a good job. Like 90% character thoughts, 10% actor thoughts, and those 10% should be mainly just like blocking or like
I
move a
gotta
certain way
make it to the other side of the room at some point.
Yeah, it's like, but like that should only be 10% actor thoughts during a take.
But like with audio, people don't think about audio really.
Yeah.
So it's all subconscious. So we instantly know when something subconscious is off.
Yeah.
People might not be able to put their finger on it, but they just know they don't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same with acting. It's
absolutely.
like, oh, I don't know. I just didn't like him in the movie. Well, why? I was like, I don't know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back to it's like if I don't believe what I'm saying with it's like if I don't personalize the writer's words, and if I don't believe what I'm saying, then the audience is not going to believe what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's like it goes back to like, okay, I gotta make sure like I know that like yeah, like I was like I believed it in
Yeah.
the scene. So like it didn't matter if like people didn't like it or not, because I know
Yeah.
that I thought so. You know?
Dude, like the greatest trick of acting is like acting to yourself, like to your own brain, to convince yourself that you are someone. You
Yeah.
know, it's like convince yourself first,
Yeah.
and then you know, I feel like everything else just kind of falls into place at that point.
Oh yeah,
Once you've
absolutely.
convinced yourself that this thing is
Yeah.
what's happening.
And substitution's the trick. You know, like with substitution, like if I'm in a scene with, you know, with like the character is talking to a girl
Okay.
that he likes, then like substitution, okay, who do I, you know, like what's someone in my real life that I can use? Because that substitutions, it's already going to automatically bring the layers, you know, versus trying to like create the layers. It's already going to be there.
Yeah.
You feel? So like if I'm substituting someone instead of like imagining the character, then like I'm already going to bring more authenticity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Dude, the same thing with writing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have to like, what would they say as opposed to how would they say it?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's a different
Yeah. 'Cause-
formula. But
yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like it's like the character is me. It's my body. It's my voice. It's the words I'm saying.
Mhm.
So it's like then I'm gonna portray it how I would portray it substitution. Like if if I'm acting with the character's best friend, then substitution I'm gonna imagine my actual best friend.
Yep.
You feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what creates the authenticity.
All right. I got one last question for you.
Okay.
And we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
What is the hardest ask as an actor in terms of like actually being in front of camera, like those type of questions? So for example, like what would be like the hardest emotion to do, or if that question's not good, like what would be like the hardest situation for you to do personally, given like your strengths and weaknesses?
I don't know. I truly don't know. I don't know.
I'll give you an example with writing.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard for me to write shy characters because dialogue is my strongest point, and shy people don't talk a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now I have to convey this through everything but my strongest
Yeah.
thing, which is dialogue.
I think what would be the biggest challenge is playing a victim.
Like a
because
legitimate victim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because again, it's like going back to like, you know, no one likes a whiner. No one likes, oh, why me? The world hates me. No one likes that type of person. But if the writer writes that character, then obviously like I gotta find a way for the audience to like this character.
Or at least empathize with them.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that would be a challenge.
Because a lot of characters will start there, and then you know they'll go through hero's journey. All that
Yeah.
stuff happens, but starting there, yeah.
Yeah. So like I think especially playing bad guys, playing villains too. You know? It's like everyone can see why like Thanos,
Okay.
you know?
Josh Brolin,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, he's like he did a great job because like yeah, like Thanos did a messed up thing by wiping half of the universe. But how Josh Brolin played him, it's like I understand why Thanos is doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a really hard thing to do with playing villains. It's like, yeah, you're the villain. People are supposed to hate you. But at the same time, you got to find a reason why they do what they do. And show a little bit of empathy.
So would you say getting the audience to understand versus like? Because I feel like a lot of
Yeah,
people don't
there we
understand
go. There we go.
Heath Ledger's Joker. Like
Yeah.
people don't really, they can't really get on the same level of like everything should just be
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
right? But they like him.
I think
but that's a different
yeah,
ask.
That's a better explanation.
Okay.
Is understanding, because when you understand, like it's gonna draw towards the characters. I understand, interesting. I understand why they do what they do, and that's what creates like a great actor's work. That's what makes great acting. You know, so it's like playing a villain is like a trap you avoid is being completely hateable. You know?
Yeah.
It's like obviously you still got to portray the story as, you know, being the bad guy. But it's like trying to find some sort of understanding, you know? It's like take Syndrome from Incredibles.
Oh, dude. Incredibles,
That is-
the writing and character work in
Yes.
Incredibles is
Yes.
incredible.
Like
no pun intended.
Syndrome's definitely like one of my favorite villains
Yeah.
in terms of like the superhero. Because like, dude, he's just so like, you can just feel his pain,
Yeah.
you know? And like when he's doing terrible things, obviously we're not going to agree with the terrible things, but it's like, dude, like I totally get it, you know?
Yeah.
I am your biggest fan, Mr. Incredible.
Oh, dude.
Like, oh man, like you just
Buddy.
yeah. Yeah. Like that's a character. That's just a broken character.
Oh, dude, and like the
Yeah.
voice actor for him traditionally plays these comic relief characters. I
Yeah.
forget his name. Really, really, you know, successful voice actor. But then he goes and like plays this like guy who legitimately off screen has killed like hundreds of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the island,
exactly.
if you look, there's a thing about the special features disc on The Incredibles where the island that they're on, his evil lair, used to belong to superheroes. So he had to like
yeah.
kill them and then he took it over. Yeah.
Yeah, see? And I feel like that's like a big challenge. It's like how do I find the justifiable reasons? You know?
Yeah.
Because like I can just make, you know, choices where like, okay, I'm gonna be a villain. I'm gonna be the most horrible. I'm gonna portray the most horrible being in the movie. But it's like, how about still do that, but just maybe like, you know, find the layers and the dynamic of like just why.
Yeah.
You know, again, like the empathetic.
Because I feel like
You
if
know?
you understand it, then like it's inevitable that other people will understand.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
And I feel like that's just a challenge for honestly. I think to answer your question, I think any scene is a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're playing a good guy or a bad guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how do I figure out how do I make a one-dimensional character make it third dimensional? You know what I'm saying?
Especially if that third dimension isn't in the script.
Exactly. It's like you have to find it. It's
Ugh.
like the script's black and white, but the actors are the Crayola crayons coloring in the script. You know what I'm saying?
Crayola specifically. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude,
why
I forgot
thought, yeah.
I forgot to send you the screenplay for Murphy's Law. That's my bad.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I gotta send you that. What is next for Zach Denny, for future Zach Denny to look back on and be like, wow, I was doing that. This is what I was excited about. That's crazy.
Definitely Dr. Green.
Okay.
So I'm
So
starring.
you're talking to you right now.
Yeah. So I'm starring in Dr. Green. It's my first starring feature film.
If you want to look at the camera and talk to yourself in the future.
No, I'll just listen to it. Yeah, I think right now is such a great moment because I'm starring in a feature, you know. So it's like, I've been doing acting for so long, like ever since I was 15 years old, around there. And it's like now it feels like the beginning. It's like now it's the beginning. You feel, you know, it's like now like I think like the momentum's finally going. So it's a wild journey. It's like, what's the point in giving up now? It's like, honestly, at this point, I can't give up. It would be an insult to me, to 15-year-old me, if I give up now. It'd be a complete insult. It's like, I've gone so far in this journey. Like, what's one more obstacle gonna do to me? I've already jumped over obstacles. What's one more obstacle gonna hurt me? You know, it's like I've gone so far, and now I feel like, obviously I don't know what's ahead of me in the future, but it's like that feeling you get. It's like, okay, now I feel like it's starting to happen. So yeah, so like hopefully in the future I can look back at like, wow, like I was right. You know, I was right.
Like he knew. Looking back at yourself, like, oh, he knew.
Yeah. Again, it's just going back to the mindset, you know, and just journaling. Like, you know, I'm an A-list actor. I am the leading man. You know, if you yourself believe it, then it can come true. If you don't believe it, then it won't come true.
I think that's an important distinction, that it can come true.
Yeah.
If you believe it, now you've opened the door to possibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not going to be handed to you.
Or it may not even happen, but at least now there's variable. You've introduced variable.
Like, the door opened, but it's up to you to walk through the door. You know? Yeah. Or the door's there, just find the key.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever how the metaphor goes or whatever, you know, it's like, yeah.
I will say though, like, just as like a director's note, like the mentality that you have about like, oh, I am the leading man. Like, what are you talking about? There is no question about, like, that whole thing, like almost like legit, like, for lack of better word, like just the straight up, like almost like the ego about it, like in a good way,
Yeah.
I think, because something I learned really early on when I started teaching was, like I teach music, right? So like drum lines and stuff. So it's like all like drumming is all about like being perfect. Like the whole idea is perfection, like perfect beats and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my instructors once told me like, hey, like I can't fix, dirt that isn't there, dirt being poor playing. Like if you're not playing enough, if you're not really giving it, like there's no materials for me to fix.
Yeah.
It's like she's like, I can fix aggressive dirt. I can't fix like submissive dirt.
Yeah.
Because you have to at least give it to me. Whether or not it's right is not important. It's your job to give it to me.
Yeah.
And then I can move this and shape it how it needs to be.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving it to me, then there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if I come so close, like a screen test for a role, but like if I don't get it because like I don't really fit the part, I would rather have that reason of redirection than the reason I didn't get the role is because I didn't feel confident.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a horrible answer, because then you're like, then you think to yourself, if I was confident, could that have been my role?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like even it's like the pot, like it's like you have to be confident. It's like you have to be in a state where it's like you are that person. It's like, again, it's like believing in yourself. Like like you don't know what the future is going to hold, but you certainly don't want the reason that it didn't happen is because you didn't believe in yourself. That is a horrible feeling to have, rather than like you were so close, like you didn't get the role, you're good, but you just didn't really fit the role that much, like a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was the great part about directing Caleb for Murphy's Law, because his character and Audrey's character, they have obviously very different asks on a technical side.
Yeah.
But Caleb's character is definitely the most work in the screenplay department in terms of like, because the emotions are just straight, they're just more complex.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of denial going on, whereas like Audrey's character is like extremely tragic because she's like, so like Audrey's ask is like portray the awareness of all this happening, right, and that feeling of helplessness, but like what you're saying, like she can't be the victim.
Yeah.
That'll ruin the movie.
Yeah.
And she didn't do that. I mean, Audrey did fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the best talents I've worked with today. With Caleb's character, it's like there was a lot of work on the day, and because I wrote the script, and I was like talking him through the whole process. Like I wrote the script, but I was like, hey man, like I need, because he was kind of finding the character as I found it, so that was a really interesting process. And yeah, just like on the day, it's like it was really nice because he would go really hard in a specific direction, right? He'd go super hard, and sometimes it wasn't the direction I was looking for. Yeah. But at least I could like then like just like it's like a water hose, like diverting the stream, and, where I need it to go.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And it's like that's why like another actor I'm really inspired by is Chase Stokes, guy John B from Outer Banks.
Okay.
Because his journey as an actor is so inspirational. Like he bombed Stranger Things.
Oh really?
Yeah, but
which character?
Steve Harrington.
Really?
He read for Steve Harrington and Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because like I think like, but he was a co-star for like one episode.
Okay.
Right. So like, but obviously he didn't get like the series regular. But if it wasn't for Stranger Things, it wouldn't have led him to Outer Banks. You know what I'm saying? So that's a perfect example of like even though like you didn't get this part, like there's gonna be a part for you. You know,
Yeah.
just don't give up.
Yeah.
And that's a prime example. That's a perfect
I mean,
example.
everyone's on their own time, like you said. Like,
Yeah,
this might be the part
exactly.
for you right now.
Yeah, like
that doesn't mean it won't later.
I remember like Chase Stokes, one of his interviews, he said that his first audition was Finn from episode 7.
Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously it went to John Boyega. But like he's auditioning for these movies and shows, but he's not getting them. But of course, it led him to John B from Outer Banks, and I love that show. It's like one of my favorite TV shows. You know, it's action adventure.
Gotcha.
You get the theme
Yeah.
of me. You know, like that's another dream role, man. That's such a great role. You know, but that's his role. That
Yeah.
was his role.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Steve Harrington may have not have been his role, but now because of
yeah.
that, one might say like being like you said, they bombed that audition.
Yeah.
But because of that, you know, for lack of a better word, failure to achieve, now he's achieving somewhere else.
And it's funny because the same people that watched him, or like the same people that were casting Stranger Things, it was the same people that cast Outer Banks.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That reminds me. Last thing that reminds me of Glenn Powell. More recently.
Yeah.
Where it's like I remember watching Maverick and being like, whoever that guy is, I want to see more of him. Even
Yeah.
though he only had like 22 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
In like this 2-hour movie, but he was great. I mean,
Yeah.
I loved. Wow, name escapes me right now. I feel terrible right now. The original Iceman. Oh my gosh,
Oh, I don't know either.
this is terrible. Wow, you can kill me later for this. Anyway, like I remember loving that character in the original Top Gun because I loved the Top Gun, the original Top Gun long before the second one was announced. I was really excited for the second one when it came out, and I remember loving that character. I was like, oh, like we got this guy playing kind of the same archetype. This should be interesting. And then he was great. You know, Glenn Powell was fantastic in Maverick, even though he auditioned for Rooster, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't get the part, and he was like really pissy about it. He said he was like really upset about it. Just he's like, I was being dumb.
Yeah.
And then Tom Cruise calls him up, and he's like, hey, because I think he did get the part of Hangman, but he wanted Rooster, so he was like wasn't even gonna do Hangman or something.
Interesting.
And Tom Cruise tells him, he's like, hey, like it's better to like be any part of a great film
Yeah.
than to be the leading man in a terrible film.
Ooh, yeah.
And I mean, look where Glenn Powell is now. I mean,
Yeah,
dude,
absolutely.
he's like one of my favorite actors right now.
Yeah,
I love him so much.
Yeah, and like,
He's so fun to watch.
And his journey was forever. Like he's been
Oh,
on
yeah.
this grind,
Dude,
You
Glenn Powell cameo in The Dark Knight Rises. Gets his head smashed.
know? Yeah.
So good.
I forgot what I was gonna say, but no, yeah, it's like another reason is like the screen test for the 2005 James Bond was revealed, and Henry Cavill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was actually really considered for James Bond, but of course he didn't get it. But of course, look at Henry Cavill's career now.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like again, my mentor was saying like there's no such thing as rejection. It's just redirection. The only time you're truly a reject is when you give up and stop pursuing. There's no such thing as rejection. It's just redirection. You know? And once you adapt that mindset, you're unstoppable. You know? So yeah.
I think that's a good place to end it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, dude. It was a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Dude, as always, I always love to
Likewise.
talk with you.
Yeah, likewise.
I mean, this whole reason we did this because we had a great talk. I was like, we should probably like do something like
Oh,
We
yeah.
should probably do a podcast. Probably be a good
this
idea.
is great. Like this is this is my first podcast. So this is awesome.
Oh, dude, hell yeah.
This is awesome.
I'm glad it was a great experience for you.
Yeah. It's cool.
If you got to check, do it. I don't want you to like be thinking about something.
Gotcha.
Go for it, please.
All right, I just did.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was
Yeah. Like I checked my Gmail, it was like updated just now. It's like, oh, okay, great.
Cool. Woo. This is back before I had all my devices, and I literally like this wasn't like, oh, I need to be like super, cool about it. It was literally I didn't have any other devices to go on a notes app, so I had to buy one. This is cheaper than buying like a second phone.
No, honestly, like I still prefer writing something over like typing a note, you know? It's
Really?
just, yeah, it's just the fact of like writing something down, like keeping it old school, you know? It's just better for me. Yeah. I don't like notes on. I mean, I have notes on my iPhone, but it's like if I don't have like like if it's a website
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe like a movie idea, then if I don't have my notebook, then I'll type on my phone. But for like most like notes or like journaling, yeah, like an actual journal, you feel?
Are you particular about your writing utensil?
Yeah. It's,
How so?
It's weird. Like I would go to Target and then it's like, I guess not now, you know, but I definitely prefer mechanical pencils, you know,
Okay.
over like.
Do you have like a specific? Are you like a Pentel guy or a Bic? Like
Okay, like those like cheap Bic,
Uh-huh.
like okay, it has to be good quality. You know what I'm saying? Are we starting right now?
dude, it's a rolling start.
Oh
It's
shit!
just
Okay,
whatever.
I said okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think but like those like durable like 0.7 mechanical pencils.
0.7,
they're
okay.
Like a
All
little
right.
bit expensive, then I'll go for those. You know.
Dude, so Zebra makes some like really nice
Yeah.
mechanical pencils, and then also, dude, Pentel, like those. I had one that lasted me like 2nd grade to 6th grade.
Wow, dang. See,
So-
I never have pencils that last that long. Like I bought this it's like a $5 mechanical pencil.
Okay.
It was like custom design or some shit, like at Target. I was like, this is I'm gonna use this for
Mm-hmm.
like studying scripts. If I'm writing down notes in my script, this is the pencil I'm gonna use.
Mm-hmm.
Like a month later, I lost it. Like I don't know what happened to it. You know, like yeah, I definitely buy mechanical pencils a lot.
You mind pulling this a little closer to you? Like honestly, just
Yeah.
put it at the edge of the table for you.
Right here.
Like right at the edge of the table. There you go.
How's that?
Oh, that's great. You sound great now.
Nice. Cool.
It's like getting that bass tone
Yeah. Okay.
like that right there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It just sounds a lot better. I'll turn
Okay.
it down slightly.
Sick.
I was gonna ask you something right after that. About, dude, I'm a 0.5 guy, personally.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like 0.5.
For pencils, this is a 0.7 pen,
Oh, okay.
but I haven't written with a pencil in a really long time. I hate pencils. They're too scratchy.
Interesting. Because I barely use pens. Besides like signatures,
Mm.
you know, but like I'm a pencil guy.
Blue or black for a signature?
Black.
Oh, dude, you gotta go blue.
What?
You can't photocopy that.
Really?
Yeah,
Blue?
you had a blue signature on a black, NDA.
Uh-huh.
You can't. You know what I mean?
Describe it more.
So like someone could like paste your digital signature onto something in black, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't paste someone's digital signature on it with blue very
Wow.
easily. Like you
That's
can
actually-
technically. It'd take you,
You know
a
what?
while.
I'm gonna
But
use
yeah,
my-
blue
I'm-
pens
I'm
for
gonna
signatures.
I'm gonna type this down.
Do like a dark blue.
I'm gonna be a hypocrite and
That's the
type
classic.
this note down. Yeah.
The classic Nolan thing where it's like, oh yeah, all of my scripts are in red because I am Christopher Nolan. It's like
I did hear about that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, because
you
Pop-
could copy
yeah.
it, but it is so much harder to do that.
well, I think I could have sworn it was like the Oppenheimer script was like all red pages
Mhm.
because if like Cillian Murphy or someone was to go to like a coffee shop and like get out of the house or something, and paparazzis are following them, if they take a picture of them like reading the script, because of the red paper they can't read off the script off the camera. Like the words won't pick up.
Oh, is that what it was for?
I think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think that's
It was
why.
for paparazzi.
It was to prevent paparazzi from leaking the story.
I thought it was like it would be really hard to make a copy of it, or they would know who leaked it.
I think it could be both. I
Huh.
think we could be both right, or maybe I'm wrong.
Because there's a thing
Yeah.
with that as well with editing, where like depending on which department you send it to, there will be different tells.
Really, explain.
So like, if a movie got leaked, right, like a whole movie, and it goes on like Reddit or like
Yeah.
What's that Russian YouTube, something like Motion, I forget what it's called. There's like a Russian YouTube site that a lot of stuff gets leaked on. Anyway, there will be like a one little blip, like unnoticeable, like in the little corner or something super tiny
Yeah.
at like minute whatever.
Uh-huh.
And based on the minute, a lot of people know, like, okay, so like so and so, like we gave ZAC the one with the little blip at minute 57, and we gave, you know, we gave Ben the one with the blip at like, and it was a different color blip at like an hour 30. So they can
Okay.
like go through and check like who actually leaked it.
Oh, okay.
It's like editors will
Interesting.
put that in there per producer request.
Interesting. You know what's actually crazy about, like, as Star Wars is playing, that reminds me of when they told Mark Hamill, because in the script it wasn't revealed that, like in the Empire Strikes Back script, it was revealed that Darth Vader, like the line was, "Luke, I killed your father," but like last minute, they went to Mark Hamill's trailer and they were like George, I forgot who said it, but it was like, there's 3 people in this trailer.
Okay.
I know the secret. He knows the secret. So if the world, if it gets leaked, we know that it was you or the 3 of us.
Oh.
And then that's when, like, it was right before they're gonna shoot the scene, and they told Mark Hamill, Darth Vader's gonna say this line: "No, I'm your father." And so like they told him last minute, like it wasn't even on the script. Like that's how secretive they were.
I remember that he was on, who was he on? Was he on Carson when he talked about that? Mark Hamill?
Maybe,
Yeah, it was one of those older ones.
Yeah,
I know
because
what
I
you're
was just
talking
scrolling through like YouTube Shorts, so, like I
Yeah.
don't really know, but like, yeah, I was like, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like 30 minutes before they were shooting the scene. That's when like they're like, this is how like he's gonna say this line instead.
That was one of the greatest Mandela effects was Luke, I am your father is not the line,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's no,
It's
I
that's-
am your
yeah.
father, you know?
and it's funny too because like it was so secretive. The rest of the cast doesn't know about that line switch. Only the actor like in the Darth Vader suit and Mark Hamill and George Lucas, right?
David Prowse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when they were doing the premiere screening, Harrison Ford like was shocked too. He like turned to Mark Hamill. He's like, "Hey kid, you didn't freaking tell me that." You know, like even the rest of the cast was like shocked too. You know, because that's how secretive it was.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I watched those retrospective videos. There's this great channel. It's called So and So's Retrospectives, and it details the movie, like what it was like when it came out.
Really?
Yeah, and like the hype around it, and like how everybody felt, like
Yeah.
the kind of the feelings behind the release of said movie.
Oh yeah.
Dude, so good, so cool.
That's sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
because I'm really curious, like, especially with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Because I mean, like Episode 4 was like, you know, like
Oh my gosh,
no one knew
dude.
Star Wars.
Episode 4, right there in the back.
Yeah.
It's not gonna focus on it. That's fine.
Oh man. But yeah, just like I can't like imagine the hype. And like I watched the documentary of like them making Episode 4, but it was so long ago I don't like remember the details of the documentary. But I just remember like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like George Lucas like went to like Fox Studios, right? But then Fox turned them down for the idea of Star Wars or something like that.
He had to try a bunch of times with the same idea. I know
Yeah.
Fox, 20th Century Fox released it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I just didn't know if like he went full like independent route with Episode 4.
No,
No.
he got an official release with,
Okay,
with
cool.
Fox.
Yeah. I just remember like it was like very low budget and it took a while.
Yeah.
Like it was like struggling.
I mean,
to
when
finish it,
with
you
the
know?
screenings, they used World War II footage because they didn't have their VFX done yet because they didn't have money for it.
That's insane.
Yeah. Like the
And it's crazy you brought up World War II because I remember like during middle school I would play like the Star Wars Battlefront that was released in 2015.
2015. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that game. But and then like going through all like the weapons, even like the blasters, they were designed like inspired by a World
Yes,
War II gun.
yes.
So like even the blasters, they were like it's a replica of an actual World War II like rifle or a gun, which is so sick, you know.
Yeah. Do you know the names of the guns?
Oh yeah,
Dude.
Han's DL-44.
Yep.
EE-3, that's Boba Fett's.
Yep.
There's
Dude, what you know what gun the DL-44 is based off of in real life?
no
The German Mauser.
really.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Mauser or whatever,
That's
however you say that in
insane.
German. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's the Mauser. It's something really close to that.
Okay. And let's see what there's the shotgun, the CA-87.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it a CX-87? I think.
I think it's CA.
CA. Okay.
Yeah, and then the EE4, which was the most broken gun in Battlefront.
Oh, the shot. It's like a shotgun.
It's like
burst
a burst,
rifle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you use that, you're cheap.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. And then yeah,
Yeah.
like everyone would hate you for it.
Oh, dude.
And then there was the A287, I think.
A280. A280C.
A280C, yeah.
Was the rebel gun. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
classic
yeah,
rebel
yeah.
one.
And
yeah.
then the E11.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
E11 is one of my favorites. It's
Yeah?
the classic stormtrooper.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then I'm trying to think of the DH17. That's another rebel gun.
The full auto pistol.
Yeah.
And then I liked the Relby V12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or V14, something like that.
Relby V10, I think.
V10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting gun. And then
Yeah.
what was that one gun?
Dude, this is so deep cut. I love this.
I know. Yeah,
This is
just talking about
ridiculous.
blasters.
This is insane.
I know.
I've never been able to talk to anybody about this.
That's awesome. But what's that one blaster that I would use? The DL18.
Oh.
I love that gun so much.
Was that like the super
It was like
machine gun thing?
It was a pistol.
It was a pistol.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not automatic. It's a trigger,
Okay.
but it did like if you know how to aim, it like kills like a person.
Was it
Yeah.
Director Krennic's gun?
No, Director Krennic's gun.
Because he had the revolver
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I forgot what was
That
called.
one was one of my
That's-
favorites
yeah,
too. I
yeah.
love that gun.
It's sick. Like if it's a damage gun.
Oh,
but like
yeah.
if you can't
But if
aim,
you miss,
you're
you're
doomed.
done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're done for because then you have to reload.
Mhm.
And while like their blasters are like constant,
Yeah.
consistent ammo.
And then there was that. It looked the same as the sniper, but it was like a full auto sniper.
A full auto sniper.
But it didn't fire that fast, but you could hold
Shoot.
the trigger down.
What was? Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
T21.
Yes, the T21.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the T21. What was that sniper called? Shoot,
I want to say it was like a DX something.
you might be right.
It was a DX like something some number.
I forgot, but yeah. But like one thing cool was like in Battlefront, if you use the shotgun and the star card focus fire, it would turn into a literal sniper.
Really?
Yeah, because focus fire, what it does is it's
Okay.
because there's like like you shoot it like in like first person shooter games, you shoot like your gun and it will recoil up, right? Well, focus fire, it prevents that, so
Okay.
it's just constant like accurate aim.
Does it like package your shot as well?
Yeah, it's just like a straight line versus like do, you know, and you have
Yeah.
to keep like joystick keeping down. So with focus fire, instead of the shotgun like going like burst like a close,
Yeah.
it formates like a sniper.
So it turns
So-
it into like a slug shotty?
Yeah, it's a big ball and it just goes far. So you can with the focus fire, you could basically shotgun someone from like across the map. But of course, you have to be really good at aiming it, you know, so and it kills someone. So it would literally turn into a sniper. But
Dude,
yeah.
I would play those like the co-op survival missions with my dad.
Really?
Yeah, back in the day. We do split screen.
No,
on
yeah,
that.
same. I would play it with my best friend on PS4. And I think like because while we would have sleepovers, right? And we were bored, we would do survival missions. Yeah. And then like when like we're online, we would definitely play Walker. Well, my favorite game mode was Walker Assault.
Dude, the OG Conquest.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not even like we're just talking about 2015. Like we haven't even jumped into the classic.
I was
Battlefronts,
making a what do you call it? A Battlefield 1 reference, but you know,
you played Battlefield 1?
a little bit, but we can get
Yeah.
into Battlefront 2 2005. Dude, the 501st.
You know what's great?
Oh my.
Is I still have it because now they released it on PS4 and PS5.
Oh, dude.
So I have it on my PS5, but so I can play the classic Battlefronts now. It's sick. It's like $40, I think. And
That's
they like updated the graphics too. So
Dude, it's like $5 on Xbox. I'm
Are you
sorry about
serious?
that.
it's all right. It was still worth the money.
Anyway, I got to do a clap here.
You're good.
That's probably good enough.
Cool.